Hello, everybody. Welcome to part 2 of probably 3-part live stream, showing you guys my game room slash horror DVD room. And today we're going to be going over the horror DVDs. So let me flip the camera real quick to show you guys. So for anybody who missed it, this is the game room, which I've reconfigured a bit so that I can have access to all of the horror DVDs because I want to show you guys everything. Random stacks of movies here. I'm going to start with this stack here because it's the newest additions to the horror collection. But yesterday we took a look at the Nintendo collection, the cartridges there in the corner. And also, actually, I forgot to show off the N64, so I'm going to show those off tomorrow night. We're going to take a look at the Super Nintendo tomorrow night and the rest of the video games here in the disc wall. Then I'll show the rest of my PlayStation, Dreamcast. All that will be tomorrow night. I wanted to break up the monotony of doing another video game video and focus on the heavenly, look at that, the heavenly horror DVD collection. So we're going to get started here in a minute. I just wanted to get a few people in here. Hello to anybody who is in the room right now. I was about to say the chat room, like it's like 1999. I am not very good at all of this stuff, technologically speaking, but we're going to make it work. Thank you to the 2 thumbs up. I really appreciate it. If you're here, we're going to get started on the horror DVD collection in a moment. I just want a few more people to roll in, give them an opportunity to roll in. How's everybody doing? Anybody that's in the chat right now? What are you guys watching? You pick up anything good lately? Those kinds of questions I always think are good conversation starters. But here, I'll give another overview of, kind of a quick overview of the video games here. These are all my consoles. All my consoles stacked up, multiples of all different consoles. I'm actually playing, I started this game last night. It is fantastic, but I discovered a problem where the PS2, don't ever play multi-disc PS1 games on the PS2. It doesn't work out. And so I had to go back quite a bit in this game, but I'm going to pick it up tonight and continue on the original PlayStation. So, all right, guys, we're going to get started here. We've got 3 people in the room. Hopefully more people come in. I did say 4:30, but I'm home a little bit early from work, and I figured let's get it started. So, okie doke. With that said, I'm going to take a sip of water. First person water drink. My little guy, my little cute face crawler, face hugger. He's so cute. Yippee! All right. So, my buddy Steve, you guys might remember him from a couple live streams ago. A few months ago, he helped me out. What's up, Rondo? Thanks for stopping in. He hooked me up. He's getting rid of pretty much all of his DVDs and horror movies and crappy horror movie, all that kind of stuff. And he's donating them to my collection. So, these were the latest additions. Underground is not horror. Well, in a way, I suppose. But it's an American film made in 1941 by Vincent Sherman called Underground. And it's like a Nazi wartime drama. I'm sure it's propagandistic and jingoistic and all those things. But I thought this was pretty cool. And it is hard to find. Next, They Feed and Savage Spirit. Don't know much about those. The Dead Don't Die. Jim Jarmusch movie there that I've been wanting to see. Black Friday. This has Bruce Campbell, Devon Sawa from Final Destination. It's got a decent cast, Michael Jai White. I don't hear too many good things about it, though, frankly. And Cold Prey. This was probably the coolest movie that he donated. Cold Prey, I still have never seen. This is a, Norwegian slasher that is supposed to be fantastic and one of the best slashers from the decade of which it came out, which was the aughts. Hello, Brandon. Ciao, the VHS and DVD guy. What's up? Thanks for stopping in. We're just getting started on the horror collection overview, so get ready. These are just some new additions to the collection donated by my buddy Steve. This one's actually really cool, too. I like Shudder exclusives. I think Shudder exclusives are mostly good. This one's called The Barge People. Still, The Barge People. Still, my Irish comes out. I can't help it sometimes. It is still sealed. This one looks pretty cool. Got some icky creature designs there. Charlie Steeds directed this one. B-movie director working right now. All right. So I've got my ladder here because, yes, these are 8-foot tall bookcases that I hand-built years ago now. And I laced this one with felt, which was a really good idea, and is still holding together nice. This one was the first one I did, which was not felt, but some sort of cheap, crappy material. I need to refelt it, but boy, is that a project. So, yeah, I'm not looking forward to doing that. We're going to start all the way up at the top. So I'm going to climb my ladder, like King Kong climbing the old... I need to watch this fan. This fan's going to catch me. If you guys hear a loud noise and a crash, that's because I'm really close. Yeah, I'm a little too close to the fan, if I'm being honest. Yeah. Okay. We're going to get started. Actually, up top here are a few movies that I added to the collection recently. A Cure for Wellness, Fear Inc., Fantasy Island. Cure for Wellness I liked. This is a Gore Verbinski movie that he did on a blank check after his very, very successful run of movies starting with the Pirates films. And Graveyard Alive, this one, I'm not sure where I picked that up, but I picked it up recently. And I had wanted to put all these to the side because I wanted to make a little 8 films to die for After Dark Horror Fest area, or like Ghost House, all these kinds of... It was a fun time in the 2000s when these studios were releasing these low-budget independent horror films from all over the world in sort of like a annual fashion. It went on for a few years, and it was really exciting, and gave a lot of independent artists, a chance to be seen. Down here we have Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, and Transylvania 65000. I actually have Transylvania 65000 on Blu-ray. I will be doing a horror Blu-ray collection overview soon, too. What's up, Lucy? Hello, thank you for stopping in. We're just getting started here. And, yes, the Ghost House stuff, After Dark. And actually, over here, we have more 8 films to die for stuff. I think these are cool. Most of them are pretty good horror films. Pretty solid, I'll say. There's very few outright duds. These are always fun. The Blood Bank, where the blood has pretty much dried up at this point. It's just like a weird clear liquid now. And actually, good. We don't have to open them. Here's an idea of what's in the collection. Horror of the Hungry Humongous Hungin. Yes, I've seen that one. Nightmare Weekend, Play Dead, Death by Dialogue. Chillers is a really, really cool flick there. I thought I had Chillers, like, separately. Yeah, I do. Huh. See, I'm learning something. So, actually, I don't need this copy. Oh, this one is signed, though, to Emily. Ooh, that's kind of cool. See, I'm learning things about my collection that I didn't even know. But I'll have to look into these. I don't care too much about the signature. It is kind of cool to have the signature, from the director. What do you guys think? You think I should keep this in the collection, even though it's already in this collection? Who knows? Maybe it's a worse transfer? I don't know. I'm going to put it to the side. And that's that for the Troma set. Got 2 of these. This one here still has some of the green liquid in there, which is kind of cool. Croaked Frog Monster from Hell, Curse of the Cannibal Confederates. This one has some wild titles. Dead Dudes in the House, Deadly Daphne's Revenge, Demented Death Farm Massacre, Fertilize the Blaspheming Bombshell, The Newlyweds, Space Zombie Bingo. I have seen Space Zombie Bingo. It's anal sauce. Hi, what's up, Jolly Good Show? Thanks for coming on back. Stuff Stephanie in the Incinerator and Video Demons Do Psychotown. We're just getting started on the horror overview here. We've got the Blind Dead collection. I do have Tombs of the Blind Dead on Blu-ray. Not sure the Blu-ray status of these 3 films, but it's going to be hard for me to get rid of this set because it is so neat. It is in the shape of a coffin, obviously, and it has all the movies, including a director documentary on Armando de Osorio, who is the... Hello, little tiny buggy. Who is the director of these Spanish films. And Ed Wood. We've got the Ed Wood box set. We've got Night of the Ghouls, fun movie. Plan 9 from Outer Space, fun movie. Jailbait, Glenn or Glenda, Bride of the Monster. I love his horror flicks. I haven't seen Jailbait or Glenn or Glenda. This guy was making like 30s style horror films in the 50s with low budgets. Everybody knows Ed Wood. Johnny Depp would play him in the I think I'm gonna turn the fan off because it's creating this like strobe-like effect. Is that driving anybody crazy? It's kind of driving me crazy. So we're gonna not turn off the light. We're gonna turn off the fan. How's that? It's gonna get real fucking hot in here though. But you guys don't feel that. Let's see. All right, so this is probably going to take a couple hours, guys, because I do want to go through and talk about pretty much anything I want to talk about, which is kind of my style. All right, so in the beginning here, so how I do these is basically, if it has 2 movies on it, they go in the beginning, and then I alphabetize, right? Except for the Midnight movies, which I alphabetized as its own section. These are their own section. You see what I mean? It's kind of confusing, but they are by 2 sets, 3 sets, 4 sets, down 5 sets, 8 sets, and then 10, 50. Those are all multi-packs, essentially, which does make it difficult for me to find certain films sometimes because I don't have everything cataloged. And stuff like this, I'd love a better copy of Driller Killer, but hey, it's in my collection for now, in this style, which these are really, really poor quality, obviously, slim case. Theater of Blood, I have this from Whisper to a Scream, which I don't have on Blu-ray. This one's cool. The Beast That Killed Women and the Monster of Camp Sunshine. Fear and Parents. I have this for parents. Actually, Fear I thought was okay. Fear is Ali Sheedy movie, not the Marky Mark movie. Corpse Vanishes. We have Candy Stripers. I always want to say Candy Strippers, but it's Stripers. And She Creature, which is a remake of an old, I want to say, Arkoff film. It was kind of like Corman in his own way. Speaking of Corman, there's The Wasp Woman and Attack of the Giant Leeches. 2 good movies, or, good bad movies. Voodoo Curse, The Gide. I don't know what the fuck that is. Mexican Werewolf in Texas. Gotta love it. I need a better copy of The Gate, that's for sure. Updated collection videos. I'm in, yes, and we're just getting started. You're tuned in right at the right time. Of course, anybody who tunes in late can catch it on the rebound. Galaxy Invader and Kong Island. I'm sure that's a wonderful double feature. Same thing here. Astral Fiend. Blood of the Vampire and the Hellfire Club. This one's cool. I got a little story for this one. You know me. I got stories for some of these movies. This movie right here, The Horror of Party Beach, which was directed by Del Tenney. Del Tenney actually filmed his movies in Stamford, Connecticut. I think he was from Connecticut. And Stamford, Connecticut is where I grew up, right on the water, right on the Long Island Sound, right across from Long Island. I grew up in Stamford, Connecticut. Now, the cool part about this was brought to my attention from my father because one of my father's best friends growing up and a friend of the family, his name was Richie Daly, actually was in this film as an extra, like a sort of greaser, which is actually what he was in the 50s and in the 60s. So basically, my dad and my childhood friend is in this movie for a couple scenes. He's only an extra. He doesn't have any lines or anything, but it's funny to see a young version of the guy that I grew up around. And so Del Tenney, it also has another film here, The Curse of the Living Corpse. I guess the cooler part about the Horror Party Beach is it was filmed in my hometown. So I'm able to point out locations, be like, oh, that's Cove Beach, and that's this and that. And yeah, it's kind of fun. Attack of the Puppet People and Village of the Giants. So you have tiny little folk and you have giant folk. These weren't these Arkoff? Yeah, Arkoff film. Bert I. Gordon, that's right. We've got, I'm not going to pull all these out. Let's see if there's anything that stands out. Crawl Space, Klaus Kinski, that's a good one. The Beast Within, that's an okay one. Bat People I haven't seen. Witchcraft, Gorilla at Large, Mystery on Monster Island, House on Skull Mountain, The Mephisto Waltz, which I still need to see. Journey to the Seventh Planet, Invisible Invaders. I've seen both of those. It's been a long time, though. Morons from Outer Space, Alien from LA. This is an early Albert Pyun film with a really cool atmosphere, but the main character is putting on like a Valley Girl kind of thing. That the main actor is doing like really annoying, cringy Valley Girl. And I get that's what Pyun wanted, but it makes it really hard to enjoy the other aspects of the film. It's not a good film, but B movies can have a charm, and Alien from LA does have a charm, but it's almost ruined by the main character and the way she performs. The Oblong Box and Scream Again, a couple late Poe Price movies. The Beast with 1 Million Eyes and The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues. Return of Dracula. The Vampire. Did I have Return of Dracula? Nope, Return of the Vampire. So we have Return of Dracula and the Vampire, and then we have Return of the Vampire. So, Voodoo Island, The Four Skulls of Jonathan Drake. This is a good one. I do remember watching that one and enjoying it. We've got a couple Shelley Winters movies here. I've never seen these. These are like Agatha Christie-style proto-slashers. We've got Yongari and Konga. So Yongari is the South Korean response to Gojira. This came out in, what, 67, I want to say? Yep, 67. To my knowledge, we still don't have a subtitled South Korean film. I'm not sure if there is a version in South Korean, which I would prefer because it's obviously dubbed over in English, and I want to see the original. This is a good kaiju movie, South Korean kaiju movie that is definitely worth watching. I prefer the remake, which we will get to. The remake is called Reptilian here in the West, but it is a Yongari movie. It was a Yongari kind of reboot. And that one is so bad, it's good. The CG is immaculately awful, and it's a wonderful experience to watch that movie, in my opinion. Blade in the Dark, a couple Giallo, Fade to Black, Hell Night, 2 films I have seen. This was about a horror fan. It's like a horror fan who turns into a slasher. Hell Night is an interesting and atmospheric early 80s flick with Linda Blair that is not Exorcist. Hell of the Living Dead, a Bruno Mattei film. This is a pretty decent Italian zombie film. I mean, I don't think there are any bad Italian zombie films, personally. They're all enjoyable for different reasons. We have Rats, another Bruno Mattei film. One that I hold off watching because a lot of you guys know that I am not a huge fan of animals being murdered for a movie, animals being killed on screen, and I'm sure this Italian flick from the 80s doesn't treat the rats very well. Rats are humans too. That's what I say. The She Creature. That one is a remake of that one. So this is the remake. And this is the original. This is Arkoff. These are the Samuel Z. Arkoff collections. Again, kind of like a Corman contemporary. Made equally fun and bad movies. Black Sheep is a fun, Irish? I think it's an Irish movie. Or is it New Zealand? You guys help me out. New Zealand. There you go. Yellow Brick Road. We've got Chamber of Horrors. It's one that I still want to see. Roddy McDowall. So the way I do my horror collection is I collect pretty much any horror films that I see. I have purged from time to time to get rid of things that I don't think I'll enjoy. But everything in the horror collection I have seen or am looking forward to watching. Deathbed. I have this one for Deathbed because Stuart Gordon produced it and presented it. It also has a Castle Freak on there, but I do have a Blu-ray version of Castle Freak. This one's weird. Knocking on the Death's Door, David Carradine. Don't know much about that one, if I'm being completely honest. This one has Screaming Skull, which I've seen, and Jesse James Meets Frankenstein's Daughter, which is, one that I will see at some point, I guess. Garden of the Dead. Zombie Collection, Crack, Unspeakable, and Garden of the Dead. Sure, it's a trauma collection. What are you going to do? This one is probably not deserving a spot in the horror wall, but it was donated to me by my buddy Steve. It's hard for me to get rid of things that are donated to me. We got another copy of Prom Night. I have this for the other 3, though. Descendant, especially the Dead one. I hear interesting things about that. And The Nurse. But I picked it up for the Dead one. We have a triple feature here. Tales from the Dark Side, Graveyard Shift, and April Fool's Day. All solid flicks. Demonic Toys, Dangerous Worry Dolls, and Doll Graveyard. Full Moon doll triple feature. Most of their movies are doll movies. We have Raising Cain. This is actually the copy that if I was to watch Raising Cain, I would watch it in this set because I have The Watcher and Fear on Blu-ray. Yes, I have Keanu Reeves' The Watcher on Blu-ray. I love that movie. It's so terrible. Ice Cream Man, starring Clint Howard. He's fantastic in this movie. He's the reason to see it. 90s horror flick there with its tongue firmly in its cheek. Jack Frost 2 I've yet to see, and Killer Tongue I've yet to see. So this is a really cool triple feature that I'm sure is sought after at this point. These are pretty shoddy. I'm sure I have these movies 4 times over, but I don't think I have a copy of Hard Rock Zombies elsewhere. So, again, that's probably why I'm holding on to it. The Vampire Happening, yeah, I don't think I have that in any other sets or anything. So, maybe one of these 50 film sets. This 20th Century Fox Studio Classics collection I have for the Alligator People, and I want to say this is the 60s remake of Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. This one I have on DVD or on Blu-ray, and this one, I thought I actually had a separate copy of that. Maybe I got rid of it. Good, because I don't need multiple copies of movies. That's one thing I certainly don't need. This is a nice little set here. 5, The Mad Magician, The Man Who Turned to Stone, and The Terror of the Tongs. Bunch of unique ones. Remember getting that at the Dollar Tree. We have Piranha 2. This is my copy of Piranha 2. James Cameron, of course, famously. Frankenfish, Lake Placid 3. Do I have Lake Placid 3 elsewhere? Nope. 1 and 2. So there you go. I have 1 on Blu-ray, 2, Lake Placid Legacy. I think I have the whole Lake Placid. How many films are in the Lake Placid series, guys? Is it 5? We don't need to look at those. This is still a pretty cool set for The Giant Claw. That's why I have this, because The Giant Claw I don't have elsewhere. I'm sure it's on separate DVD, but yeah, anytime I want to watch The Giant Claw, I watch it on this set. All right, we're going to the next row here. Some of these vampire sets are neat. They have, this one has Nadia, which was, I think, produced or, let me see, David Lynch had something to, yeah, David Lynch Presents. So maybe he just liked it and put his name, oh, executive producer. There you go. So this one sounds good. Twin brother and sister vampires struggle against each other and the ancient curse that binds them in the stylish erotic thriller set against the concrete canyons of modern-day Manhattan. So that sounds pretty cool. It's got some other weird-looking vampire flicks on there. So all these rows are horror movies in this video. Yes, my friend, this is all horror. So if you're not a fan of horror, I do apologize. But there will be a collection video for you in the near future. This one, Fangs of the Living Dead. There's some weird ones on here from the 60s and 70s. That's why I'm holding on to that. Things I've never heard of. Like Grave of the Vampire, Vampire Happening, which I think I saw up here. Yeah, I still got to do a purge of this section here. This one I have for modern vampires. That one looks kind of cool in like a Matrix-y, late 90s, early 2000s kind of way. And Bruiser, George A. Romero, underrated flick. This one I have for Viral. I have Goodnight Mommy on Blu-ray. I think Dark Skies on Blu-ray. And Six Souls, a pretty decent psychological horror film. Octopus. Ooh, a little dusty up here. Sorry, guys. We have Octopus 1 and 2, which is cool. Crocodile. This is actually a Tobe Hooper flick, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. And Blood Surf. So that's actually a pretty solid B-movie set there. My Best Friend is a Vampire Repossessed with Linda Blair. Bless you. Thank you. Slaughter High, Silent Night, Deadly Night 3. Why do I own this one? I own this actually for Serpent and the Rainbow, which I still need on Blue, and one of the great horror film titles of all time. This one I have for Pumpkinhead 2. This one is a weird one. This is like Mexican horror films. La Baraja del Diablo, La Noche de los Muertos, alias Viento Negro, Chaman Vientos de Muerte, En el Nombre del Diablo. So I don't know if these movies are supposed to be good or bad. I'm assuming bad. But hey, anytime I have a chance to get foreign horror flicks, especially ones that we are not very exposed to here in the West, I do it. I pick them up. What can I say? Bride of the Reanimator, Beyond the Reanimator, pretty much all the Return of the Living Dead sequels, save for 2. So that's why I have that one. Blood Diner, really cool flick. Another copy of Parents there. Earth Girls Are Easy, which is a strange one to have in this collection. Sundown, which I now have on Blu-ray. Fido, which is a good flick, good zombie flick. with, what was it, Billy Connolly was in that. Very funny, very unique. Boy Eats Girl. We've got Waxwork, Ghoulies 3, and 976 Evil 2, The Unholy, Chud 2, Chopping Mall, Slaughter High. So you can see I own these for very specific films, which does make things complex and difficult to keep up with. Bloody Murder 1 and 2. Bloody Murder is not good at all. Creepy Crawlers, Carnivore Deadly Species. This one's got some really weird-looking, interesting flicks. This one I have for Reflecting Skin. Actually, yeah, I picked up Reflecting Skin pretty recently on a separate Blu-ray, on a separate DVD. That's a really interesting Viggo Mortensen vampire flick. Of the likes, you're not going to see another vampire flick like Reflecting Skin. It's very interesting. But this does have some other flicks I don't have, so there you go. I'm going to skip over these here. It's just too many films to talk about, honestly. Yeah, this one's got a bunch of, like, 70s exploitation, biker films, and shit like that. You know, these are infamous. I think these are great just to throw on, like, Halloween or, you know, when you're having people over. These have a bunch of public domain horror flicks, most of which are, I'd say half of which are worth watching. We have some weird ones. Five Girls. I hear this one is terrible. Not a fan of the director on that one. 100 Gritos de Terror. This is 100 Nights of Terror. No, Gritos. I forget what that means. Miedo Supremo. Pánico. See, I'm pretty good. I could read some of this, but yeah, it's obviously a horror flick from, looks like Spain or Mexico. Yeah, Mexico. There you go. Weird stuff like that. If it's horror, I'm keeping it around. So, 2001 Maniacs, the remake sequel. Abattoir. Abby. This is blaxploitation goodness right here. This is the Black Exorcist. What's up? Thank you for stopping in. I appreciate it. Enjoy. We're only at the A's, and we've been doing this for 20 minutes, so. But yeah, Abby's a cool one. Black Exorcist movie, essentially. ABCs of Death. I have some fun with these anthology films. How can you not? Some of the shorts are really, really cool. Absentia. This is where Mike Flanagan actually gets his start. This is one of his early, really low-budget independent horror films that really relies on atmosphere, which has become sort of his calling card, you know, what he's known for. He builds a very suspenseful atmosphere and dingy. This film is very dingy and very frustrating for the main character. Not frustrating in a good way, because you really feel for the main character, who has a very naturalistic performance. It sticks with me, so that tells you something. What is the chance we get to zombie? What was that comment there? I just missed it. How do I look? Live chat. What is the chance we get to Zombie 2 in this live stream? We're getting through it. We're getting all the way down to the zombie film. I have more than just Zombie 2, which is a whole conversation in and of itself. We'll get there. Liam Neeson stars in this like psychological thriller with my girl, Christina Ricci, and a very good Justin Long. This is an interesting film with Liam Neeson playing like an ambiguous kind of villain character. Or is he? You know, it's that kind of thing. This is one of the worst movies I've ever watched. And we watched this together, my buddy Steve and I. This is not good. And this was a screener copy, which made it even worse. Yeah, not worth watching. But hey, Alien 3000. This is the sequel to Alien 2999. Is there a cartoon that has horror theme? Yes. I'm sure we'll get to a couple here. That's a great question. I've always wondered the same thing, why there aren't more animated horror films. I think the genre is conducive to animation, to a good animated film, and it just hasn't really been produced. But I'll talk about a couple films that I have here. You know, so I hope to see Blackula or Blackenstein. Well, you'll see one of them coming up soon. Blackula I have on Blu-ray, so you'll see that if you check out the Blu-ray stream. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know about a TV show either. We've got Alien Conquest, Alien Apocalypse. This is a Bruce Campbell flick. I'm sure it's pretty fun. Alien Raiders. This is like a siege kind of bottle alien movie. It all takes place in a supermarket overnight. It's kind of cool, and it has some good gunplay and action, and very low budget, but very well done. Very well produced. Alien Dead. This was a cool one that my buddy Steve gifted me. 25th anniversary edition. So that means it came out in the late 70s, I want to say. All right, coming down here, we've got All Cheerleaders Die. This is a Lucky McKee film. Yep, Lucky McKee, who did, I'm blanking, Lucky McKee. He did some films with, didn't he do May? Yeah, May, which is fantastic. Zombie Island, would love to see aliens animated like the Animatrix style. That would be amazing. Hey, Al, what's going on, buddy? Yeah, I know that like anime, American anime, Western anime, and Netflix seem to be doing a lot of cool stuff. I need to get into it. Like Terminator has an anime now. Gamera, Gojira, they have animes. Here's where Damien Leone gets his start. Damien Leone is known for the Terrifier trilogy, which is fantastic. And All Hallows Eve, we have the 1 and 2 here, which is where the character of the Terrifier was introduced. Obviously, you know, it's not great, but it has some creepy moments, some creepy segments. I actually haven't seen number 2, which I don't think Leone had much to do with. Yeah. So there you go. He went on to bigger and better things. All Souls Day. Let me know if there's any I'm skipping over that you guys like. I'm a big fan of Joe Bagos' work. He does low budget, you know, how do you say? He does low budget horror films, independent horror films really well. Alone in the Dark, we got Uwe Boll. Alone with Her, Colin Hanks. Some of these movies I don't remember picking up. Altered, this is from Eduardo Sanchez, who is the co-director of Blair Witch. This is a really cool flick. I like his work. Don't know much about this. Slender Man, this is the Marble Hornet story, which I think they got screwed over on. We've got American Haunting, American Werewolf in Paris. Not quite as good as London. The Amicus Collection. A lot of people think these are Hammer films, but they're actually Amicus. Asylum, and Now the Screaming Starts, and The Beast Must Die. I've been meaning to ask you, are you a fan of the Mission Impossible franchise? I am certainly a fan of the Mission Impossible franchise. I say to everybody around me that Tom Cruise is the last American action hero. He is fantastic on screen, and he's keeping American cinema. I don't think American cinema has much of a pulse right now, but if there is a pulse, it is Tom Cruise and the action movies that he produces. So that's my opinion on Tom Cruise and on as an actor and the Mission Impossible series. I think they get better and better. Fallout is the peak for me. Dead Reckoning was fantastic. Can't wait for the second one. Yeah, Rogue Nation's incredible, and so is Ghost Protocol, Brad Bird. Anyway, back to the horror movies here. Angel of Light, The Angry Red Planet, a fun little Mars horror flick. Anguish, this is a film by Bigas Luna, who is super underrated filmmaker, and he made one of the most trippy movie. I don't even want to say much about it because it'll spoil it, but this will mind bend. Yes, it is so weird. But it is so unique and really really screws with your head, unlike many movies I've seen. It's very strange and will continuously have you whiplashed. Anna and the Apocalypse, I watched this actually with my mom and stepfather a couple years ago. We had a fun time with it. It's got the music, it could have been better, but the zombie action was fun. Antibodies, wow, I almost can't show that. This is like, I want to say a German film, maybe. Picked that up recently. Antiviral, this is Brandon Cronenberg's first flick, guy who would go on to do Possessor. It's about a future where designer viruses are a thing, which we're not too far away from, where celebrities like sell their herpes to fans. I'm dead serious. It's a really fucked up idea, but again, we're not too far from that in 2025, from that level of celebrity obsession, which I think we should all draw a line between us and celebrity obsession. That's just my opinion. A controversial one. April Fool's, this is like, I don't know what this is. I always thought it was like an all-black cast version of April Fool's Day. Maybe it's not. It obviously looks like a slasher. If you guys know anything about it, let me know. Same thing here. Is this a remake? I have no clue. A couple of spider movies here. We got Arachnia by Brett Piper. Very good B-movie director. And an awesome cover. I'm sure the movie's not as awesome, but it's Arachnid. It actually looks effing awesome. You know what? Jack Shoulder, who did The Hidden? Hell yeah. I'm going to watch that soon. I do have April Fool's Day. It's actually right up here, the OG. So there you go. I do have it on a 3-pack in widescreen. Albert Pyun. This little arcade movie with really bad CG, but it's a fun B movie. Can't go wrong with it. I want to thank everybody that's watching the live stream. We're only on A. We're at the end of A here. Feel free to give it a thumbs up if you're enjoying it. We'll be doing more stuff like this. Yeah, arcade's super fun. Pyun the God. Hell yeah. I'm glad I'm seeing some Pyun love in there. He is what he is. He's like a modern-day Corman, but he also directed, he directed most of his own stuff. Corman directed a lot of his stuff in the early days, but as soon as he didn't have to, he didn't. I think he was a fine director, too. Roger Corman was underrated. Fun Triple Bill, Tron, Dungeon Master, and Arcade. Wow, it gets worse and worse as it goes on. I like that. That's good. The Asphyx. I love The Asphyx. This is a really cool British horror film, period piece. I think this is a classic, personally. I'm not sure who agrees with me, but I think this is an English horror classic from the 70s. And it's not Hammer, it's not Amicus, it's Valiant, so gotta applaud them for pulling out a really cool independent horror film there. At Midnight, I'll Take Your Soul with Jose Mojica Marins, who is a Brazilian filmmaker. This is a Portuguese language film. And he is the Portuguese, Brazilian Lon Chaney, essentially. Are you familiar with the Important Cinema Club podcast? I never would have heard of Pyun. No, I don't know about that. I don't listen to much podcasts in the movie world, honestly. Looking forward to your video game collection. Yep. Going to do that tomorrow. Had a chance to check out new, never-before-seen directors. That's cool. I might have to check it out. At Midnight to Take Your Soul, really cool stuff. Check out some Marins films there. Attack of the Giant Leeches. Did I have a second copy of that one? I'm sure I do. Let's see. Aunt Rose, The Awakening. This is a cool archive collection one. It looks like a cool mummy movie, but I'm not sure exactly what this is. This looks like it has a budget behind it, too, and some decent actors. Yeah, have you guys seen The Awakening? This one I picked up rather recently. Axum. I think this is one of the worst-rated horror films of all time, if I'm not mistaken. Midnight I Will Take Your Soul is a cool movie. Yes, a lot of his flicks are very cool. This looks bad. I don't know much about it. I was going to watch it with my buddy Steve recently, but we decided on something probably even worse. Bad Taste. I really would like to sell this. I have 2 copies of Bad Taste now on DVD, and I'd like to sell both of them to fund a Blu-ray. I think there's a Spanish Blu-ray, which is a shame that there's not a Western release, an American release, but is what it is. Backlot Murders. Not sure about that. Bad Blood. I want to say this is a Spanish film here. Portugal, actually. Not Spain. So that's cool. Portuguese horror. Don't see too much of that. Yeah, we have talked about doing a movie podcast. Honestly, I'm just trying to get back into the swing of things so that I can have more of a foundation to work from. But I do have plans to do stuff like that. I just don't want to make any concrete plans because life has been kicking my booty over the last couple of years. So we've got Bad Ronald. This is a great little TV movie from the 70s. Really weird and cringy and secondhand embarrassment kind of performance from this guy. It's really good. Stephen King, Bag of Bones, a good mini-series starring my boy Pierce Brosnan. I'm a big fan of Pierce. The Bat. Bats, actually a fun Lou Diamond Phillips Nature Strikes Back Bat movie. The Battle of the Undead. I'm sure it's ass. Let's see. Bad Boys 2. I love Bad Boys 2. Oh, yeah. Bad Boys 2 is fantastic. Has one of the coolest action scenes when Lowry is on the highway in the beginning and he drifts the car and then pulls the machine gun out and starts bucking at the bad guy. That scene brings tears to my eyes in terms of how excited it makes me. Fucking love that movie. I love both the first 2. I love the first 2. The third is okay, and the fourth pissed me off with Mike Lowry getting panic attacks. It's like, okay, well, let's emasculate our, fictional heroes. I don't understand it. Controversial take, I know. Whatever. I don't care anymore. We've got Beast of Bray Road. This is supposed to be one of the better Asylum flicks, actually. I don't know much about it. I'm pretty sure it's a found footage Asylum flick. So that's cool to me. I think it's found footage. I'm getting my details fucked. Oh well. The Being. This is an early 80s movie. Yeah, I think 82 or 83. That is supposed to be pretty fun. It's got my boy there, Martin Landau. Bereavement, the sequel to Malevolent. Low-budget horror slashers. Better Watch Out, an awesome Christmas-themed horror film with twisty-turny. We'll have you guess until the very end. It's very good. Some more trauma goodness. Beware, Children at Play. Killer children or children getting killed in horror movies is always a passion of mine. How many of your horror DVDs have you seen, ish? That's a good question. I'd probably say around 50%. That's usually what I say. The other 50% are things I'm interested in seeing, which is definitely not how everybody does it, but that's how I do it. Lovecraft, Beyond the Wall of Sleep. I love Lovecraft adaptations. Bimbo Movie Bash. There you go. Biohazard. This is not a Japanese film, even though I said it in a Japanese way. Fred Olin Ray, which is, so that means it's going to be ass. Brett Piper, Bite Me. This is a really cool flick with some great low-budget special effects. Brett Piper is definitely one to look out for if you like low-budget B-movies with really cool gore. Bitten is actually a pretty interesting Jason Mewes film. Yes, Jason Mewes can do things other than Jay. He's perfect as Jay. But he does this more serious kind of vampire role here. And it's really interesting. I don't want to give away too much, but it's very interesting. He's basically looking after this woman who was bitten or something. She has a secret, of course. It's probably pretty obvious what her secret is. But Mewes does a good job. You feel for him. There you go, whoever was looking for Blackenstein. Look at that. I hope Tusk is in your collection. I'm not huge on Tusk, if I'm being completely honest. If I did find a copy of it, I would probably hold on to it, because it does one thing really well, and that's make you feel uncomfortable. And if a movie makes me feel uncomfortable, it does something right. I just don't think it's a great movie. That's all. House of Cthon. Blade, played by Sticky Fingers from fucking Onyx, the hip-hop group. House of Jack Bill, wouldn't call it a horror film, exactly. Oh, I haven't seen that. House that Jack built, I have not seen. But hey, yeah, Von Trier is it? Yeah, he's got the balls to do shit like that in movies. So, it is just a movie, after all. Blade of the Vampire. Yeah, I don't know about this. Looks like a low-budget vampire flick. Blair Witch 2, I am a fan of. Bleeders, I am not a fan of. This is an ass Rutger Hauer flick based on, I want to say this is Lovecraftian in some way. Yeah, I forget. Dan O'Bannon, that's right. Dan O'Bannon wrote this, or he helped write this, which is crazy. Dan O'Bannon did The Resurrected. Dan O'Bannon wrote, didn't he help write Alien? Let's see. Bless the Child, Blood Angels, Bloodcraft. This is like a Craft ripoff that I got, I think, the Dollar Tree. Blood Dolls. This is, look, I would imagine Full Moon. Anything, yeah, Charles Band. Blood Drive, Blood Feast, the sequel to Blood Feast that Herschel Gordon Lewis actually did himself. I'm not a big Herschel Gordon Lewis fan, but I recognize his importance. I've seen a bunch of his flicks. Blood Glacier, ugh, that was bad. Blood Orgy of the She-Devils, with a title like that, how can you go wrong? A terrifying screaming plunge to the depths of hell. Might be a little too erotic for my taste. I don't like erotic horror films most of the time. Blood Relations, Blood Sisters, Blood Rain 1 and 2, more Uwe Boll goodness or badness. This one I put in a hot pink case. I thought it fit it pretty well. What do you think? Singing Love in the recent Canadian horror film Red Room. That's interesting. Yeah, let me read that comment there again. Red Rooms. I haven't seen Red Rooms. I'm not sure what that is. Blue Sunshine. Guys, this is an awesome, trippy, psychedelic, MK Ultra conspiracy kind of movie about guys who were experimented on and then later in life go crazy. And this has one of my favorite introductions, like first 10, 15 minutes in any horror film. It shows a couple vignettes of people doing different things, and they all end up kind of in the same position where somebody loses their mind. And he keeps doing this really cool moonshot each time it happens. It like falls onto the moon. It's very cool. Oh, this is Lieberman, by the way, Jeff Lieberman, who would do Satan's Little Helper and a couple other films I'm blanking on right now, but are really, really fun. Bog. I picked this up recently. I do not expect this to be a very good version of Bog. in terms of the way it looks. The Bogus Witch Project, I've not seen that. A Boggy Creek movie that I don't know how much connection it has to the originals. Bones, the Snoop Dogg horror flick. I like this flick. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Hopefully, I'll cover something that interests you. If you're a fan of Kurosawa, I'm a big fan. Oh, he did Red Rooms? Okay, similar atmosphere. Well, I love Kurosawa. In fact, I've seen most of his films, so I haven't seen Red Rooms, though. This one is directed by Ernest Dickerson, the cinematographer. Pam Grier is in this, Snoop Dogg. I love this movie. This movie has an atmosphere. Yeah, it's such a cool film. It has an atmosphere that is rarely matched. Ernest Dickerson has a coolness to the way he shoots his films. Very iconic. I think Ernest Dickerson was an underrated director. Snoop Dogg, yes. Let's see. Boogeyman. The Boogeyman triple feature. The trilogy of Boogeyman films. I saw the first one in theaters. Yeah, Demon Knight was directed by Ernest Dickerson too. I thought of saying that, but then I wasn't sure if it was Bordello of Blood that he did. But no, you're right. He did Demon Knight, which is excellent. Has that same kind of cool 90s style to it. Botched. You want to see a weird flick that'll fuck around with your head? This one's very strange. This has a twist in it that I still am not sure if I get. Like it's fucking wild. Brain That Wouldn't Die, a film that I have a soft spot for. I don't know why. This film just, it's really interesting to me. Brain Dead. This is a Corman-produced film that was written by, I think, some of the guys that wrote some Twilight Zone episodes or anything, or something like that. Bill Paxton, Bill Pullman, really interesting and trippy film that deals with kind of Inception-like ideas. Breeders from the 80s and Breeders from the 90s, both are not worth watching. Well, they're okay. Maybe they are. The Bride. Always get it mixed up with Percy Jackson's Brain Dead. Yeah. We have The Bride here with Sting. This is actually a Frankenstein movie, believe it or not. I've yet to see. Bring Me the Vampire. I was going to say Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. Bruiser. So I have another copy of Bruiser there. Bug Buster with a crazy-looking Randy Quaid. Burrowers, a really interesting horror western, and we don't get too many horror westerns. This one is definitely worth watching. It's got great atmosphere. Very, very cool movie. Bunnyman Massacre. I do have the original, but I have it on Blu-ray. Bunnyman movies, they are what they are. They're not very good. Joe Dante, one of the last horror flicks I think he did. Joe Dante. This is a fun Anton Yelchin horror flick. Horror, romance, comedy, and done in like sort of My Best Friend's a Vampire or My Boyfriend's Back, kind of that style. This is the remake, the shot-for-shot remake of Cabin Fever. I need to see it to believe it, so I will watch it one day. This is a great little movie, Call of Cthulhu by the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society. They completely funded this and did it on a very low budget. It's black and white, all practical effects, practical sets, miniatures, all the good stuff. Really captures the atmosphere of Lovecraft. And I'm a big Lovecraft fan and reader. And these movies get it as good as you can get it. I have Whisper in the Darkness as well, which is on Blu-ray. Camp Blood Trilogy. I think this franchise has 3 trilogies, or at least 2. Favorite Lovecraftian film. Well, Lovecraftian film is a big umbrella. Do you mean based on Lovecraft's work, or do you mean inspired by? Because if it's inspired by, it's going to be The Thing. If it's based on his work, I'd have to think about it. Probably The Resurrected or Color Out of Space with Nick Cage. I thought that was a really good adaptation of the story. Let's see. Candyman 3. Still would like this on Blu-ray. I've got the first 2 on Blu. Cannibal the Musical. Trey Parker and Matt Stone's first movie, live action. Well, first movie in general, yep. Cannibal Ghost. I have a couple different versions of the Cannibal Ghost. Carnage Park, Carnival of Souls. This is actually a remake. Pretty interesting. Reanimator and Dagon. Yes, absolutely. Both of those are based on Lovecraft, and I love both of those a lot. Yeah, Dagon might be my favorite Lovecraft adaptation. I think nobody gets it quite as good as Stuart Gordon, if I'm being honest. Stuart Gordon understood the Lovecraftian vibe and nails it pretty much every time he sets out to do a movie. Another good horror western, Bone Tomahawk. Hell yeah, Al. That was a great one. This is one you should all look out for. This is a fantastic... No, it's not a good film. It stars DMX. Rest in peace. So DMX on the back with like some hand-built like styrofoam bazooka. I'm sure he's in it for 10 seconds. And yeah, this is... My buddy Steve gave it to me, and I will never get rid of it. I will watch it one day with my buddy Steve. This is a weird movie that I think was shot in like the early 90s or something, or the 80s, and came out like 10 years later. Yeah, I don't know much about it. Carnosaur 1 and 2, I'd love to have the trilogy. These are great, fun movies. Roger Corman produced, Jurassic Park ripoffs. This one is actually an Aliens ripoff, which is fantastic in that B-movie style. Michael Paré, Carver's Gate. This is an interesting one with some really cool-looking designs on the back there, and I never even heard of this, so. Let's see. Kathy's Curse. Cauldron of Blood. Cell Count. Cell. I thought this was a fun, bad movie. Un Chien Andalou. I don't know really where to put this. This is like experimental horror. It's got the infamous shot of a woman's eye getting cut. It's directed by Luis Buñuel and Salvador Dali. And Dali obviously was known for his surrealist paintings, and they teamed up and made a surrealist film. So there you go. They also, what was it, the Hitchcock film, Dali directed a sequence, the dream sequence in one of the films. Was it Notorious or one of those? The Children of the Corn. I have most of those, but not all. We've got, this is The Church, but not the one you're thinking of. This is like a Dollar Tree movie. Citadel, very atmospheric British horror film here. I thought was pretty good. I think it was British. Pretty sure it was, yeah. Class of Nukem High. Awesome Lloyd Kaufman movie here. I love this movie. So much style, so much 80s vibes to it. Whew, man, it's a lot of talking. Let's see. The Italian Church, directed by Michael Suavi. That's a great one. I do not own it, however. This is a weird-ass movie. I still kind of like it because it's so bizarre. Cockneys vs. Zombies. No, I don't have that one. That's a good one, though. I've seen it. If I don't find it at the Goodwill, I don't have it. That one I haven't run across. Cold Skin. Pretty interesting Lovecraftian movie, actually. There you go. About, like, weird fish people. The Comeback. This is the Pete Walker film I've yet to see. I like Pete Walker's other movies, though. This is an, Alex de la Iglesia movie. The guy who did Dia de la Bete, which is Day of the Beast, which is a fucking great movie. Hilarious, dark humor, disturbing. Guys, if you like the movie Street Trash or like that 80s trashy style of horror flicks with neon colors and New York vibes, Condemned actually captures that spirit in a modern sense. And it's not as colorful, but it's more like rundown and dilapidated and rusty. Kind of like Evil Dead Trap. I always think of Evil Dead Trap like just, decrepit, rundown environments. And this takes place in an apartment building in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Really, really cool gore. Really fun movie. Tense at points, too. Very tense. So I know we have people in the chat that love Pyun. This is Pyun, and also based on a story by Lovecraft. So there you go. That's why I own this. I would love to see that at some point. I've seen all of these. These are great old Corman classics, of which he actually directed. And my favorite on this set is actually Attack of the Crab Monsters. I think that movie is fantastic and creepy, because I think the design of the crabs is oddly human and really uncanny. Basket Case, The Stuff, Toxic Avenger, Grimy, Gross, Pre-Cleanup, New York. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. That era. Pre-Cleanup. You did a good job summing that up. Roger Corman Collection. This has a bunch of cool films. Take a look there. Bucket of Blood. I love that movie. X, The Man with the X-Ray Eyes. A wonderful modern adaptation of The Invisible Man. I think it's super underrated. And Ray Milland. Awesome fucking movie. Corpse Grinders. Cottage. That's a pretty decent one. From the aughts. I've heard this is not good, but I have to witness it to believe it. Crawl or Die. Guys, you want to see a really neat low-budget movie? This whole movie takes place in tunnels, and the tunnels get smaller and smaller as time goes on. And this alien, all the meanwhile, this alien is chasing this woman through these tunnels. It's super tense. uses its budget very wisely, and a really creepy creature. Shots of the creature like squeezing its way through the tube are really disturbing. Guys, check this out. It starts a little weird, but gets really good about 20 minutes in. And it's super short. Yeah, it's just a brisk 90 minutes, so 9 minutes, imagine. Creatures of the Abyss. We've got Creep. Pretty decent and atmospheric Franco Potente movie with a weird twist. I wasn't huge on, but it's a pretty fun movie. We've got Creepshow 2. I love Creepshow 2. Creepshow 1 is still better, but Creepshow 2 has some really interesting segments. Creepshow 3 had nothing to do with George Romero, so don't buy into that. It's not very good. We've got the Critters collection. I'd love to have the Blu-rays, but I don't, and that's okay. I've got the widescreen DVDs. I'm happy with that. I've only seen the first 2, savoring the rest. Here's a cool little double feature here. These are, how do you say, like all black cast, black-centric full moon flicks. I want to say full moon. I'm pretty sure these are full moon. But I think that's really cool, and I always complain about there not being enough, black-directed horror films in the 80s and 90s. The 70s is known for them, blaxploitation horror, but yeah, it's a shame that for whatever reason, I'm not sure what the reason is, but there weren't many black directors making horror films. But it's a conversation for another day. Cube 2 and Cube 0. These are the Cube sequels to the original Canadian film, which I love the original. I've actually not seen these two. Curse 1 and 2 are pretty fun. Again, Lovecraftian flicks. Will Wheaton is in the first one. And yeah, these are fun Lovecraftian movies, especially the first one. I like the first one quite a bit. More Lovecraftian than the second one. Curse of the Demon and Night of the Demon, these are 2 different cuts of the same movie. Obviously, I prefer the longer cut, 96-minute cut. Cube 2 Hypercubed is one of the dumbest titles I've ever heard. Yeah, I know. Only saw Critters for the first time. Yeah, it's a fun one, isn't it, Al? It's a good one. This is Armando de Osorio, I'm pretty sure. Is it? No, it's Charles Aured. This is a Spanish horror film starring Paul Naschy. Anchor Bay. This is a weird story. This ended up in my collection back when I used to live with my father. And I didn't know where the hell he got this. He didn't even know where he got it. It was like sort of like a cursed movie. Showed up in the collection one day on one Halloween. My buddy Dom and I watched it. Why is your Spanish pronunciation so good? Well, thank you for that. That actually means a lot to me. I've been studying Spanish for a couple of years on and off, but I've been taking it more serious lately. I'm trying to get bilingual ASAP so I could take on Japanese, which I know a little bit of Japanese. How should I say? It's a compliment. Thank you. That means a lot to me. I appreciate that. I take things that I learn seriously, so I want to sound as respectful and good as I can. So thank you. Cutthroat. This is a weird hip-hop centric. No, this isn't the one I'm thinking of. One of these has Busy Bone. What's the one with Busy Bone? Nightmare Alley? Cutthroat Alley. That's the one. Yeah, Busy Bone and Mac 10. Busy Bone from Bone Thugs. Bone Thugs and Harmony, one of my favorite groups, hip-hop groups out of Cleveland. I doubt they're in it for very long. None of these rapper movies these dudes are in for very long, unless it's like State Prop or Paid in Full, which are 2 of the better ones. Paid in Full especially. That's the best hip-hop crime film, in my opinion. Cameron is fantastic in that film. Also a very good rapper. The Hip Hop Witch, unwatchable. Blair Witch, I guess, ripoff, where the filmmaker just got a whole bunch of interviews with rappers acting like they were afraid of the Hip Hop Witch. It's as bad as it sounds. It's unwatchable. But it's a novelty for a hip-hop fan, which I am. Cry Wolf, I saw in theaters, dating myself. I saw this in theaters with my group of friends back in the day. Rewatched it since then. I think it's pretty good. Why do you own this? Why do I own the Hip Hop Witch? I think I explained it. It's not a good excuse, but it's an excuse nonetheless. I'm a hip-hop fan. I'm a hip-hop head, so Cry Wolf is a good one. And I'm a rapper. Not many of you guys know that, but yeah, I've been rapping since I was a kid, 13. I've got a new song coming out very, very soon. And for those of you that want to hear my rap, my music, type in Howl at the Moon on my channel, and you could listen to my basically like gangster rap meets horror rap, where I play the role of a man who becomes a werewolf, and put a lot of work into it. So check that out if you like hip-hop. The Dark. This is a really underrated Sean Bean psychological atmospheric thriller that takes place in like Ireland. Or I don't remember much about it, but I remember enjoying it. All right, I'm going to get down on my ass here because we're down at the bottom. Wish I could make this a wider view, but I can't. Yeah, I'm not sure how I would go about doing that. All right, guys, let's continue on. Oh, this one's tight. I'm going to take one out. Dead in 3 days. German film. There you go. I love foreign horror flicks. You don't find them very often. All right, that gave me a little bit of room to work with. Dark Harvest. Dark Harvest. I feel like I have another copy of this. Dark Heritage. Here's a Lovecraftian movie that is not very good. These eyes remind me of the eyes from the Forest poster. I'm pretty sure they're the same thing. Dark Heritage is a very low budget of a bunch of guys in a very dark house. It's impossible to see what's going on. Not a very good Lovecraftian movie, that's for sure. Dark Nature, I don't know much about that. Dark Universe, that's a Fred Olen Ray Alien ripoff, of which there are thousands. At least hundreds. Dark Water, this is the American remake of Dark Water, which I think is pretty good, but not as good as the Japanese, which we'll get to. I have most of my Asian foreign horror films down there. Darkness Falls, a film I saw in the theaters back in the day, off the hype of The Ring. This still has a great atmosphere, I think, and is a pretty good early aughts horror film. PG-13, that's, one of the problems of that era. Trying to kidify everything. This is a Casper Van Dien horror movie. I think it might be a found footage flick. I'm not sure. Darling, I put this in a pink case. You want to see a good movie about a woman just spiraling into madness, and it's a wacky movie. Mickey Keaton is a good director. It's actually shot in black and white. I have the soundtrack to this movie on vinyl. I really, really enjoyed this movie. Enjoyed her performance. What's her name? Lauren Ashley Carter, I think, is her performance. Yes, very good one. Check it out. And we've got the Day of the Dead movies. I think this is supposed to be a sequel to George Romero's. What a travesty to even say those words. I feel like I've cursed myself. Day of the Dead, this is a remake, I guess. It's horrible. And Day of the Dead Bloodline, which is the latest of the Day of the Dead or rip-off garbage movies. Next time my buddy Steve comes over, though, we're doing this entire 3-movie trilogy. Yes. We're gluttons for punishment. We might even try to stream it. We might try to do like a live commentary. That would be fun. What do you guys think of that? Would you want us to do a live commentary of bad horror movies? Like T3K style? We're pretty good at that when we're not being filmed, so I think it'll work. Day of the Triffids, if you want to see a nice British horror flick from the, 50s, 62, about trees that come to life and kill people. This is the one for you. Alien trees. Dead Alive, I still need this on Blu-ray. I love Dead Alive. Peter Jackson that I love and miss very much. Dead and Breakfast, you would like that? Cool. Yeah, we're thinking about doing that. That would be fun if I could figure out the setup. We got Dead End, a really trippy and twisty and turny horror flick from the aughts. I really enjoy this flick. Great performance by Ray Wise and Lynn Shay, who play parents. And just seeing those two genre legends at work is fun enough for me. I always love this. This has a quote from Tom Savini. Unique! Could have said that in any context, and they just took it out of context. Anytime you see the ellipsis means there was more after it. It could have said unique and garbage. Love Dead End. Yeah, super underrated, right? Dead Mary, I've not seen. Dead of Night. This is a very early anthology film, and a cool one at that. Check this one out. 1945. I believe this is known as the first anthology film of all time. Road Horror is one of my favorites. Yeah, there's a cool one that you just made me think of called Monster Man, which I have. Yep, I have up there. If you want a cool, underrated road horror movie, Monster Man is a good one. If you've not already seen it. We got the 2 Canadian Dead Rising flicks actually here, which I think is kind of interesting. I love the games. And Zach Lipovsky, he just did something more popular. How are these? Are these any good? I really would like to check these out at some point. I think the guy playing Frank West actually gets it pretty right. Yeah, Monster Man rules. It's very raunchy. Yes, it is. It is very raunchy. Not for everyone, I guess, taste-wise. Very underrated and creative James Wan film. You know, creative in the James Wan sense where he takes old ideas and kind of reconfigures them and repurposes them and scares you again with old ideas that once scared older audiences. I think Dead Silence is a very good example of this with a killer twist. A killer twist. Dead Snow 2, I like Dead Snow 2. I think it does a little too much when compared to the first one. I think the first one is still great and a little bit better. Don't know what that is. Dead Girl, you want to see a really fucked up film? Probably wouldn't be made today. Dead Girl. It's about two kids who break into a mortuary and fuck around with a dead body. And I mean fuck around with a dead body. Breakdown with Kurt Russell. That's one of the best underrated thrillers. And obviously The Hitcher, which I finally picked up on Blu-ray. Yeah, this movie's fucked up. But, you know, I like cinema that take risks, and I like cinema that pisses people off, because I'm pretty much impossible to offend unless it's something in a film. In a film sense, if it's a movie, good luck offending me. In fact, good luck offending me with words, even. So I can notice when something is fucked up, which this is, but, you know, it's a movie, and they take some wild risks, and they tell a decent story. What can I say? Deadly Species. Monster Man recently, it surprised me on the cover of my DVD. The truck looked like crappy CGI. Yeah. No, it's a fun movie. It's not bad. Here's another Western-like Civil War era horror film. It's got some good scares and good atmosphere in there. Not bad. Not bad. Death Foretold. Margot Kidder and Tom Savini. Yeah, I don't know that one. Four Tales of Horror. Death Machine. Really awesome. Stephen Norrington. Yeah, awesome design of the effects in this movie. Very Stan Winston Terminator-like. Great atmosphere. It's like a techno slasher. Futuristic techno slasher. I really like this film. Very cool. Favorite one, Jeepers Creepers, but always tough to recommend that due to the director. I hear you. I think it's wise to separate the art from the artist, because if we knew about all the skeletons and all the artists of all times, closets, if we knew about all their skeletons, we wouldn't have any art to enjoy. The truth is, great artists are disturbed people most of the time, and that is something that we have a hard time reconciling. That's why I try my best to condemn the person and praise the art. Obviously, the director of Jeepers Creepers is a creep, did some fucked up things, and if you watch his movies, I think there's probably somewhere in his heart that is screaming out for help. But, you know, it is what it is. He did what he did. It's really, really fucked up, and he was punished for it and will be punished for it, I'm sure. If you believe in an afterlife, that kind of thing. But I think to throw the baby out with the bathwater defeats the purpose of art. You know, how many of the Renaissance painters were creeps? How many of the great rock and roll stars of the 70s slept with underage women? You know, so I think we need to, as in buying their films. Yeah, so I don't buy, people that I know are creeps and disgusting people, I buy their films secondhand. I don't directly give money to any of these guys, because I don't think any of these guys are heroes. They're artists, and, you know, well, half of these movies aren't art, but it is what it is. I'm getting into like philosophical takes here, and I don't really want to do that, because that's for a different kind of discussion. And it's very opinionated. I'm a very opinionated person. Decadent Evil 1 and 2. Decoys 1 and 2. We've got Death by Temptation, which is a great black led and black directed. James Bond III directed this film. Written, produced, and directed. Troma gave him a shot. It's a pretty okay movie. Basically agree with you. Yeah, it's a complex subject. And you know, I don't want to piss anybody off while doing like a horror movie stream. But Death by Temptation has some good atmosphere. They managed to get Sam Jack in it before he blew up. Kadeem Harrison is always fun. Really cool independent flick. Yes, I agree. Delicatessen, Delirium. So Lamberto Bava, I like his films quite a bit. Not as much as Mario Bava, but hey, you know, Mario Bava is one of the greats. The Dentist with Corbin Burnson. This is a fun film. If you Whose debut? Was it Sam Jackson's debut? Sorry. Is that what we're talking about? Demonicus. I always thought this full moon cover looked really interesting. Look at that. Gladiator from Hell. Oh, really? I didn't know that was as early. Okay, that was his earliest role. This is like a Roman style gladiator horror film by Full Moon. I mean, David S. Sterling. Yeah, you know it's gonna be shit. He had no prior movie experience. That's amazing. I didn't know that. Very good. Very good. Coming down here. We're almost done with the first one, guys, and then we're gonna try to do the second one. Fuck it. I ain't got shit to do. I meant the director, not Sam. Oh, okay. Sam. Oh, got you. Live stream your collection of movies, TV shows, cartoons, and anime for next time. Yeah, see, the problem is I've got a lot of stuff packed away right now because we're not sure if we're moving. So the stuff that is out, I'm going to show you guys over the next couple, week or so. Desperation, a pretty cool Stephen King adaptation there. Devil Dog, Hound of Hell. It's a 70s flick here. I've yet to see. Devil in the Flesh, Rose McGowan. I've yet to see. I've had this sealed since forever. The Devil's a crazy Ken Russell film. Awesome, awesome director that made some really, really controversial films that will make you feel uncomfortable, which I believe is what art is all about. If you're uncomfortable, something is being done right. That means you're thinking. God forbid we use that organ. I hope Dog Soldiers shows soon. I live for practical werewolf effects. I have Dog Soldiers, but on Blu-ray. And I'm not a huge fan of that film, despite loving the effects. I don't know what it is about that movie. Everybody loves it, and I can't really get into it. What can I say? Devil's Backbone. This is Guillermo del Toro. One of his early films. I think his second film, if I'm not mistaken. Very good. I need to rewatch it because I didn't really get all of it the first time. I didn't really get it all. Are you a fan of The Descent? Yes, I am. There's the sequel there. I haven't seen the sequel, but I love the original Descent. I actually rewatched it, and I think it's a pretty damn masterful exercise in suspense and claustrophobia. I think it's fantastic. And if you like that kind of thing, that's where Crawl or Die comes into place, because claustrophobic horror, that movie does it really well. Let's see. Devil's Backbone. Yeah, no, I know. Neil, what's his name? Neil, which one were we just talking about? Shit. The Descent. Neil, the hell's that guy's name? He's making a bunch of weird, B movies these days that I kind of like, actually. Neil Marshall. Yes, that's the one. Neil Marshall. I like Neil Marshall's movies. They're very atmospheric, very old school, very exploitative kind of style. I like it. Devil's Candy. I saw this one pretty recently. Yeah, this movie's pretty cool. Sean Byrne flick here. He's got a new movie coming out soon. Yeah, this one was cool and involves like a metal. How do you say, like a haunted metal? I forget the details of this, but I know it involves metal music. And the main character is a painter. And the painting, yeah, I don't want to say too much. It's a cool one. Devil's Den. This is a weird looking one I've been wanting to check out from the aughts. I don't know. It's got a bunch of people with guns and swords. It kind of looks like Dusk Till Dawn. Yeah, possessed strippers. This, I think, is a Dusk Till Dawn remake with Ken Foray, Kelly Hu, Devon Sawa. Really poor cover. The back is a little better, but The Devil's Rock, another one that has kind of an alluring kind of back. Devil's Rock, 1944, Eve of D-Day. Checked out any films from 2025 yet? Only one I've seen is Sinners. The only two I've seen from 2025 were Electric State and G20, two mainstream straight to streaming movies, if I'm being honest. But G20 was a fun Die Hard ripoff with Viola Davis. Sinners also has a Dusk Till Dawn vibe. Yeah, I've heard that. I'm looking forward to Sinners for sure. And then I saw Electric State, which I didn't hate as much as everybody else, but I thought it was a waste of money. It's a big budget B movie that you can laugh at and enjoy some of the effects. I thought the effects were really cool. The product placement makes me sick. Making product placement into a main character is pretty crazy. And is going to hopefully allow Hollywood to break itself soon. That kind of bullshit. But Dino Shark, Roger Corman. This one's great. Atmospheric, alien, predator kind of ripoff. Havoc, another I gotta see, is a big Raid fan. Yeah, Havoc I want to see because I'm a big The Raid fan as well. Gareth Evans, right? I even like his Apostle. I thought that was a killer movie. But yeah, this is Mark Dacascos in a Predator kind of ripoff, but a good Predator ripoff, directed by William Mesa, 97. Very atmospheric, low budget, uses its budget well. Cool creature design that I wish you saw a little bit more of, because it's shot in the dark, which is good, but I wanted to see a little bit more. Dollman versus Demonic Toys. I think this is more of a cut together kind of film from other movies. Don't Answer the Phone. This actually is interesting. This has an early Tom Hanks performance in it, and he's actually not even on the box. I think Tom Hanks is in this. So much of this knowledge I haven't exercised in so long. I'm here to try and find hidden gems. Absolutely. Well, I hope I'm helping you. Don't deliver us from evil, please. No, thank you. We don't want it. Don't Kill It. This is one of the films in the line of Alien that takes, that copycats its victims and then becomes the victim. Movies like, I'm blanking. I'm rusty. What's the movie for, damn it. I forget. Sorry, guys, I'm blanking. The Thing. The Hidden is an example of that kind of thing. Well, yes, The Thing for sure. That's where it all kind of starts, right? But yeah, this is in the line of that. Has some really cool effects. Dolph Lundgren is okay in it. I am a fan of the director Mike Mendez, who did The Covenant or The Convent, and a lot of really cool low-budget horror films. The Hamiltons, I think he did. Wait. Which one? What do you want me to wait for? Don't Mess With My Sister. Very strange title if that's his sister. I don't know about you guys, but I've never done anything quite that, we'll say, provocative with my sister. Horror Express. Oops. Horror Express, that's the OG, The Thing. That's a good point. I never really conceptualized it that way, but yeah. Yeah, really weird cover, but I do want to see this little exploitation flick. We've got Dr. Alien. Look at that. Look at that cover. Hey guys, I'm an alien. We've got Dr. Jekyll, Dr. Black and Mr. Hyde, another blaxploitation horror flick with heavy actor there, Bernie Casey. There you go. Dr. Alien. Look at that fucking thing. So ridiculous. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This has two classic films here. The Frederick March film, which I love and have seen from 32. And Spencer Tracy version from 47, which I haven't seen. Or from 41, I should say. I want both of these on Blu-ray. Damn it. We've got more, this is Jack Palance as Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. We got a bunch of Jekyll and Hyde films. Mark Redfield, Tony Todd, and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Pretty good. Two films from the biggest friend. Let's see. I will give you a hint. I don't know how to keep... Oh, there we go. Oh, I don't know. I can't think right now. I'm sorry. Let me know what your double bill was. Let me see here. We've got Argento's Dracula. This is a terrible Argento film. One of the worst, but pretty bad. It's fun. Oh, the Ewok films. I watched those recently, too, with my buddy. I like the second one more. It looks like all the budget went into the second one because the effects are actually pretty damn cool by Phil Tippett. And, yeah, those are rough to watch. It's got Diabetes Man in them in the second one, Wilford Brimley. Picked this up recently. Look at that cover. How do you go wrong? Yeah, the second part is definitely better. They didn't balance the budget very well. Yeah, I picked this up recently. I was very happy to find this. What a cool one to find out in the wild. Dracula Dead and Loving It. A great little... this is a fun Mel Brooks movie here that probably is the most forgotten Mel Brooks film. Here are all my Dracula films and I just realized I have 2 copies of Count Dracula. Look at that, guys. I'll be able to make a little bit of money. Sweet. I'll see which one's in better shape and get rid of them. They're slightly different releases. Okay. I'll check that out later. Dracula 3000. That's a bad one. So many Dracula films. I know. I put them all together. This is a really great adaptation of the book if you guys are interested in that. It's a miniseries, British miniseries, BBC, starring Lewis Jordan, who does a great job. This is very close to the book. Very, very good. Dark Prince, that one's not very good. Dragon Fighter, starring Dean Cain. I'm sure that's lovely. I'm gonna have to take a water sip soon. I'm gonna have to do that in a second. Drainiac, another Brett Piper flick. Great effects. Look at that killer cover there. Favorite Dracula Nosferatu film? That's a good question. I've always said I'd have to think about it. Maybe the Bela Lugosi one. I know that's kind of a cop-out, but I love that film's atmosphere. I'd have to think about it, honestly. And I'm in, like, commentary mode right now. It's hard for me to answer questions. I apologize. I will try my best, though. Let's see. Earth versus the Spider. This has some really cool effects, and it's kind of the Fly ripoff with Dan Aykroyd in a bit part. It's not bad. I've seen worse. Ed Gein. There, I've got a couple Ed Gein films. Eight-Legged Freaks, fun practical effects movie there, monster flick. Bunch of Elvira flicks there. I'm sure those are not worth watching. No, they're probably okay, actually. Elvis's Grave, no idea. Embryo, actually, this is another, I have a copy of Embryo up there, which I doubt is much better. So I might get rid of that one. End of the Line, here's a hidden gem. Big fan of the first Elvira film. Yeah, I still need to see that. Here's a hidden gem for those hidden gem searchers out there. This is a great atmospheric film that takes place underneath in a subway system, underneath the underground. And I don't want to give away too much, but it involves a religious cult and is really trippy and creepy and has some very creepy affectations to it. End of the World, I actually have a poster for this film. This is such a bad movie with Christopher Lee. It's about as weird and trippy as it looks on the back. This is an early film from Full Moon, 77. So, Equinox on Criterion DVD. I don't think that ever made it to Blu-ray. The poster reminds me of Demons. Yeah, it does have that vibe. It is very cool. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Escape Room, I recently checked these two out on a double feature, and I thought they were great. I had a good time with them. They're, for mainstream PG-13 movies, they're pretty fun. And, yeah, what can I say? Fun little movies. I like the concept and the gimmick. And if you like the gimmick, you'll have a good time. Evil Breed, I watched this recently, and my buddy Steve let me know that there's apparently a version of this film with 30 extra minutes of gore and sex and nudity, which makes sense when there's a bunch of porn stars or ex-porn stars in the flick. Not very good in its cut form. This is a trippy and atmospheric mummy kind of film with Christopher Walken. It's very strange, but it has a stale atmosphere, which I think lends to it. Evolver, this is an awesome video game-inspired techno-thriller, techno-horror film. It's a very good one. Very weird, good effects. Was it directed by David Dakota? Which one? Sorry, I don't think any of the recent ones I talked about were Dakota. Exeter, I've actually seen this Marcus Nispel film, a really gritty and grimy and unkind, what's the word I'm looking for? Cruel horror film here that treats its characters like fodder. And it's very interesting. Yeah, Nispel is good for that. I agree. He creates a very particular atmosphere. Cruel horror. Which a lot of people repudiate. I get it. I don't. I welcome it. Very cool atmosphere. Very creepy at points. It will get under your skin. Exhumed. This is an anthology film, zombie anthology film, which I've had for probably 20 years since I was a teenager. And yeah, I haven't seen this, but it does. One of the films is directed by is a Japanese film, so I think that's kind of cool. Shinomori, The Forest of Death. Existence or however you want to pronounce it is a really cool video game inspired David Cronenberg, bio horror flick with great casting, great performances across the board. Ian Holm, Don McKellar, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Jude Law, Willem Dafoe. This is just an awesome film, unlike anything you've ever seen. And yeah, it's very cool. Sarah Polley is in this. Yeah, it'll get you thinking. It'll gross you out. Hello, kitty. Oh, kitty. Yes. For those of you who like kitties, there's my kitty. And for those of you that don't know, I haven't really shared it, but I lost my dog a few months ago, and that was very hard on me. But this little guy My brother's cat has made it a little easier for me. It was a rough time, but hey, life goes on. I'll always remember him. I actually dreamt about him today, my little boy. Okay, I'm going to get emotional, so I'm going to keep going. Keep chugging through. Jess Franco, a director that I dislike greatly. I still give his films a chance, but he's disappointed me every time. So sorry to hear that. Thank you for the condolences. I appreciate it. We've got Extraterrestrial, The Vicious Brothers. This is a pretty cool flick. The Vicious Brothers aren't as cruel as you would think. They make a fun little B action movie. I'm a sucker for the Greys. I'm a sucker for the X-Files style conspiracy horror flicks. And Kitty's coming back. He wants to be in the scene. I think someone's just hungry. Yes, I do. All right. Eyes of the Mummy. 22 silent classic. Can you believe that? Here we go. 1922. Like, is this the first Mummy movie ever made? This is pretty cool. That's why I picked it up. Faceless, a remake. This is a Italian remake, I believe, or a European remake of the French film Eyes Without a Face. I've actually seen Faceless and not Eyes Without a Face, which is crazy. Sorry to hear that. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for the condolences. I just wanted to bring it up at some point because at some point somebody will notice I'm not talking to my dog in live streams. So rest in peace, Rocky. He was a fighter. And ironically, I pull out Faces of Death. Faces of Death 1 and 2. I never understood why they were flip-flopped. This isn't for everybody. This is also not even really for me. I have it because I don't like to see real deaths on screen, okay? I'm not like a sadist or a sadomasochist. Cat's name is Stick, like stick and move. Stick 'em. Sticky we call him sometimes. My brother called him that. And there's another, thank you, Al, I appreciate it. There's another there's another cat in the neighborhood that we've named Stone. My brother actually brought this cat in, Stick in, he was a feral cat. He was a wild cat. And we tamed him. He still has some of his wildness that he's shaking off, but there's another cat in the neighborhood that we've named Stone. And my brother is trying to convince me to take him in, but I can't. It's too soon. And I'm pretty confident I'm not going to want a companion pet for some time. But yeah. And I also am broke, so there you go. Fangs of the Living Dead. This is a Amado de Osorio film. Spanish director that did the Tombs of the Blind Dead films. I've heard really bad things about this. Fred Durst directed, yes, from Limp Bizkit. It's all about the he said, she said bullshit. Think you better quit talking that shit, and you'll be leaving with a fat lip. That shit was popping in the 90s. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. The Canadian horror film, The Fear here. I think this one's pretty cool, pretty atmospheric. It's all right. Faust. This is getting up there in getting up there in price. So keep an eye out for this one. This is a Brian Yuzna version of Faust, and it's very cool, very very Yuzna-like. And Yuzna did one of my favorite horror films of all time, and that is Society. And he did Beyond Reanimator, which are great. Saw this in theaters. This was banking off the hype of The Ring in terms of its atmosphere, but this actually did achieve a hard R rating, unlike its predecessors or contemporaries, The Ring and Darkness Falls. Now, this is the least good of them all, but I don't know. I don't hate this movie. I don't know. A lot of people absolutely hate this movie. I think it has some atmosphere. It's got that very early 2000s editing, insane like editing style. But if you can get past that, it's not terrible. Feast 2 and 3. Feast 1 is fantastic. 2 and 3, I think, he shot his load in the first film. John Gallagher. Let's see. We've got Fever. Firestarter. This is a remake of Firestarter, which I've yet to see. Let's see. I just got a couple comments I missed. Sorry. Nice impressions. Thank you. I can't hate a movie with that title. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. This has the sequel to Firestarter, which is why I have it. Flesh Eater, directed by Bill Hinsman. Bill Hinsman was the famous zombie from Night of the Living Dead from the beginning of the film. From the beginning of the film in the graveyard. He would go on to actually direct his own little zombie flick and star as the leading zombie in it. This is not a bad movie. Not a bad movie. It's okay. It achieves some atmosphere. And the novelty of it being directed by Bill Hinsman, I think, is pretty cool and unique. The Fog, I'm not sure if this is a Bollywood version of the movie The Fog, but that's why I picked it up. Faceless horror from The Fog. Yeah, it sounds like it, so. And this is an American remake of the American film The Fog. I still prefer the original Carpenter film. Food of the Gods Part 2. The first Food of the Gods is hard for me to watch because it uses kills real mice on screen, which is crazy to me to do. This is directed by Damian Lee and looks to have more prosthetic rats than its predecessor, so that's good. The Forsaken, a really interesting early aughts vampire flick that I think it oozes of atmosphere, of that early 2000s atmosphere. It's a vampire flick that has a desert vibe to it, kind of a road/desert vibe to it, and it's kind of cool. It has its moments. I've seen worse vampire films. These are cool Fox sets here, Fox classics. I've seen The Lodger, Undying Monster. This is the Fox response to The Wolfman. Shandu the Magician, that's Lugosi, Dragonwick, Renault's Secret. Renault's Secret, French sign to prove man is descendant of ape. Yeah, I've seen that one too. Kind of like a Frankenstein sort of story meets King Kong or Mighty Joe Young or something. Fragile, I'm a big fan of atmospheric films that take place inside of insane asylums or mental asylums, whatever is correct now. This one's directed by Jaume Balaguero. Jaume Balaguero, who is the director of one of my favorite films of all time, Wreck, or Record, the found footage vampire film that takes place in the tenement. I'm a fan of Jaume Balaguero's work. You guys should check this one out if you like atmospheric flicks. Callista Flockhart plays the lead in this. She was famous for a show from the 90s called Ally McBeal, but she does a really good job showing her chops in Fragile. Very, very atmospheric. If it's a rainy night and you want to see something cold and lonely feeling, it's very good. So now we have a run of Frankenstein movies. I try to get all of my Frankenstein DVDs together. Decent adaptation that takes some unneeded deviations from the original story, but also includes some things from the original story that I think other films left out. So it's hit or miss. This one's directed by Jed Mercurio. I don't know much about this one. Seems to be a BBC version of Frankenstein with James Purefoy. We've got Rock and Roll Frankenstein. So there you go. I'm sure that's a fun one. It looks pretty fun. I'm going to show all the Frankenstein flicks. Frankenstein, the true story, directed by the guy who did The Night Stalker, which is, one of my favorite shows of all time, Kolchak. Kolchak is an incredible show and yielded some incredible films. Dan Curtis, that's his name. Isn't this Marcus Nispel? Yep, another dirty, dingy, modern Frankenstein adaptation. I think it's pretty damn cool, honestly. I kind of do. I think it's a unique take on the Frankenstein mythos. Frankenstein Unbound. This is the last film that the legend Roger Corman directed. Rest in peace. This is a really cool film with Raul Julia and John Hurt. Yes, he got those two guys in his film. I'm sorry. This is the Dan Curtis one. Nope, this is not. Okay, that one's the Dan Curtis one. This is another... I don't know much about this. 70s one? Okay. Well, there you go. Frankenstein's Castle of Freaks and Lady Frankenstein, and then Frankenstein versus the Mummy. So, Damien Leone actually directed this one, the guy who directed Terrifier. So, and then last but not least, Frankenthumb. Have you guys ever seen any of these thumb movies? Kitty is trying to get my attention. Kitty. Frankenthumb. Here we have Freak, which always interested me because its cover looks insane. It looks insane. Yeah, the 70s TV movies were a beast of their own, weren't they? They were very different. They had a very different atmosphere than regular, cinema movies, I guess you could say. Movies that went to theaters. I think Criterion finally put out a version of Todd Browning's Freaks, which I still need to see. Awesome and atmospheric movie. Controversial for its time. Which, yeah, I don't understand. Let's see. We have Fright Night Part 2. That DVD was worth quite a bit at some point. I love Frightmare. This is Pete Walker at his finest, in my opinion. A really crazy performance by this woman. It's a fun movie. The Frozen Dead. I picked this up at like a random pawn shop in a random town in North Carolina. And I thought it was interesting looking, so there you go. I think it's like frozen Nazi zombies. Can't go wrong with that. Guys, if you're enjoying this live stream, which I am, I don't know. I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to get through. I underestimate how much I talk. So I'll try to get to the second area, but we'll see. If you're enjoying this, feel free to give it a thumbs up. That definitely helps me out. I do also have super chats live and available for you guys to do if you feel so inclined to do so. Anything that's donated obviously gets put right into the channel. So I'm just trying to make a better content for you guys. Let's see. Yeah, no, I understand dog people and cat people. I totally get it. Mario Van Peebles, this is probably one of my favorite films of his. Very atmospheric New York film here, Manhattan film, where Mario Van Peebles plays a kind of a dual role. He's a kind of a Blade-like character, I'll say. Anthony Hickox, who did the Waxworks movies, who was a really good director in the 80s and 90s, I thought. Low-budget director. Bruce Payne is a great villain in this movie. Very atmospheric, very cool. I actually have this on South Korean VHS I'm trying to sell. I'm not sure how much it's worth, though. Recently picked this up, the Michael Haneke version. Is that his name? Haneke? Version of Funny Games, which is the original. And then we have the American remake, which I think I have seen, actually. I didn't before I knew it was a remake. Haneke did both films, so his vision is sound in both of those, I'm sure. But I think the German one's supposed to be better. Gotta love a title like that. I think Macabre puts out some decent B-movies. Gangsters, Guns, and Zombies. So, yeah. Gonjasaurus Rex. I was about to watch this with my buddy Steve last time, but he was like, dude, it was too bad for him to rewatch, which is saying a lot. I picked this up because I thought it was like a kaiju movie. I don't know. Gonjasaurus Rex, you can't go wrong. I bought it from like some sketchy website on the internet. The Gardener, a lot of people enjoy this film. I don't, or I did not the first time. I thought it was very boring. Yeah, it has some atmosphere to it. It has like a hazy atmosphere, dreamlike atmosphere that obviously the Italians kind of get very well. James H.K. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Wall. He is one of my biggest cinema what-ifs, along with Brandon Lee. Yeah, Ken Wall. Yeah, no, I definitely know. He's been in a bunch of action movies, right? Like early 90s DTV action movies. Was he in a movie called like The Killing Man? Ken Wall. Yeah. I don't think I've seen much of his stuff. I kind of feel that way about Jeff Speakman, too. So I'll check out some Ken Wall movies. That sounds cool. Gargoyles. Speaking of 70s TV movies with the legend Bernie Casey. This is a very cool film. Why doesn't it say Bernie Casey on the back? Isn't Bernie Casey in this film? That's weird. He's like the biggest star in the film. Yeah, Bernie Casey, Scott Glenn. There you go. This is a fun, atmospheric 70s film with some really great makeup, costumes. Kind of in the vein of Planet of the Apes. Right when his career was about to take off. That's right. That's right, with the blaxploitation stuff, right? The Ghost and the Darkness, cool flick. I do have trouble watching this today because of it seems like some of the treatment of the animal on set was, what can I say? That's one of my pet peeves that bugs me. I don't like to see animals stressed out or suffering because they can't understand acting like humans can, you know? So they don't know that they're acting, and I think putting them through certain things is stressful, and I don't know, makes me feel weird. So tomorrow you're going to be focused on PS1. That's the plan. I might take a break in a few minutes and then get to the rest of the horror. That's probably what I'm going to do. Ghost Riders. This has a horror western kind of vibe to it. I picked this up recently. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be good or not. Ghost Ship. One of the best intros to any horror film of the last, 30 years. The rest of the film is pretty good. It's not bad. It's enjoyable. It's atmospheric. Gabriel Byrne's in this. I like the early 2000s horror flicks. Ghost Storm. I actually hear pretty decent things about this B-movie. Ghost Story. Which is a pretty good adaptation of the Peter... What's his name? What's your opinion on the 4K format for collectors? 4K... I think is going to be very sought after in the future. I think those are going to be pretty valuable. For me, I don't see much of a difference, and half the time I look up a 4K, people say go for the Blu-ray because the 4K sucks, because they did like some weird AI shit or some, I don't know. We have Ghoulies 1 and 2. I have 3 in a multi-pack, and then 4. Directed by Jim Wynorski. That's right. That looks tremendous, doesn't it? Yes. Ginger Snaps 2 and 3, the prequel here. I love the original Ginger Snaps. I've yet to see the sequels. Ginger Dead Man. I've only seen the first one. And yeah, Full Moon Killer Gingerbread Man movies. So you can imagine how bad those are. Let's see. Gog. Still a flick I want to see from the 50s. Gog. Picked this up a couple years ago. It really doesn't have anything to tell you on the cover there. Grabbers. Really underrated flick here. Grabbers is very, very funny. Great, witty, quick dialogue. And this scene in particular, it cracks me up. Very Shaun of the Dead kind of vibes. Irish film, pretty sure. And it's a fun time. Lovecraftian, tendrilless horror. Oh, the Grave Dancers, not the Hamiltons. Mendes did this movie, not the Hamiltons. Hamiltons is a different film. But yeah, this has great usage of slow motion. Dominic Purcell's in this very cool flick. One of the best of the 8 films to die for. I'm going to put that up top. Let's check the comments here for a sec. Underrated werewolf. Underrated werewolf. Well, The Undying Monster is a good one from Fox from the 50s. I'm sure I'll come across something here in a second. Grimm. This one's not too good. No, Rumpelstiltskin is the one I'm thinking of that is pretty good. Directed by the guy who directed Leprechaun, I believe. Grimm, not so good. Gutterballs, a fun little exploitation B bowling alley horror movie. Yes, all those things. The title is so small on that. Look, Hag of Black How More. That really rolls off the tongue, huh? Hag of Black How More. Don't know what the hell that is. Habit, this is a Larry Fessenden film. I've seen most of his films, but I haven't seen what's supposed to be one of his best. Writer, director, editor, and also stars in That's How You Do Horror, baby. That's how you do horror. All right, guys, you know what? I am going to tackle the second side. I'm going to try to get through it a little faster than an hour and a half. But right now, I am going to use the bathroom. I am going to get a drink of water. And I will be right back. So hang tight. We're going to do the rest of the horror. Fuck it. Be right back. Alright, I'm also going to put on the air conditioner because goddamn, it's getting hot. Alright, let's check the comments before I continue. Love Wendigo. Yeah, Wendigo's awesome. Last Winter's good too. I'm off now, time for bed. Been a joy, great seeing you back and killing it. Catch up on the repeat. Thanks, Al, I appreciate it. Have a good night's sleep. It's only 5 o'clock over here in North Carolina. Alright, I'm going to check in. Still me, guys. We did actually the smaller of the 2 bookcases. So this is the big bookcase. But we're gonna try to rip through this in an hour. We'll see how it goes. Courage the Cowardly Dog, a horror cartoon? I would say so. In as much that Twilight Zone is a horror TV show. It's very Twilight Zone-esque. And definitely deals with horror themes, that's for sure. Alright. We're watered up. Stick of juicy fruit. Here we go! So there's a design flaw here. I knew that this was the case when I put them into place, but I needed space for my gaming area. So there are some films here that we might not be able to see because I'm an idiot. Hammerhead, that movie sucked. Hannibal Rising, still haven't seen that. Harbinger Down, the film that we were all excited for. Directed by Gillis and Woodruff, one of those guys, or both of them, who did effects for the 2011 The Thing, which got canned mostly, and they put those effects into this movie, but the movie sucks wiener. Hatchet Man. Haven't seen that. I've been wanting to, though. The Haunting. Robert Wise, one of my favorite directors of all time, one of the most diverse directors of all time. He did The Haunting, Day the Earth Stood Still, The Wiz. I mean, this guy, West Side Story, he was such a great filmmaker, and we don't talk about him enough, so talk about him. The Haunting, the remake. Actually, I like this remake. Maybe it's because I'm nostalgic for it, but it was very atmospheric at the time. I didn't know of any other versions of this, so I did a Mario impression. Okay, I didn't even notice. Oh yeah, here we go! Wow! When he's falling down the thing. The Haunting of Rebecca Verlaine. The Haunting of Molly Hartley. The Haunting of Preston Castle. The Haunting of the Hazing. Ooh. Hello, lady. He Knows You're Alone. That's the Tom Hanks one. There he is. Not Don't Answer the Phone. Got my details wrong. He Knows You're Alone. Another phone horror movie from the early 80s there. He Never Died. I actually have seen this. It was pretty cool. It's got a sequel recently called She Never Died, I think. It's about an immortal character named played by Henry Rollins from, Black Flag? Wasn't he from Black Flag, Henry Rollins? The punk band? Am I getting that right? And this one was really cool. Very cool concept and kind of nails it. This one is so awesome. Alex Winter directed this. Alex Winter from Bill and Ted fame. He played Bill. And he directs and I believe helps write this one. Keanu Reeves plays the dog man right there. Yeah, can't even tell it's him. Some of the craziest effects from the 90s. Some of the best effects from the 90s. And a completely insane plot. Alex Winter is way over the top in this movie. Everybody is way over the top in this movie. And what can I say? It's an absolute blast. Watch Freaked. It doesn't have the name on it because I think I lost the slipcover at some point, so it doesn't have the name literally anywhere. But I knew it as soon as I saw it. I knew exactly what it was. So, alrighty. Next up, Headless Eyes. Heartstopper. Heebie-jeebies. I always am reminded of Jeepers Creepers when I hear this. Maybe it's a ripoff. I'm in the light here. I'm back. Hope I didn't miss any classics. No. This is the stuff I showed just so you could see if there's anything you want to comment on there. I did correct myself. Knows You're Alone is the one with Tom Hanks, not Don't Answer the Phone. They rhyme and they're the similar concepts, so I got confused. I got them conflated. This is the only Hellraiser flick I don't have on Blu-ray. I'm not sure if it is on Blu-ray. Helter Skelter Murders. That's a weird one I picked up. Yeah. I actually picked up the book Helter Skelter today from Goodwill. Always wanted to read that. Helter Skelter, this one's from the 70s, where somebody actually, Steve Railsback actually plays Manson. It's funny how, if you keep up with news, Manson and that sort of idea is kind of still in the ether, which is crazy. The idea of the government using, drugging up people, controlling them with drugs and sex and all that, it's crazy. Will you ever show us your horror Blu-rays? Never. I'm never going to show anybody my horror Blu-rays. That's just for me to enjoy. No, I'm just kidding. Of course I will. Probably very, very soon. Because you think the DVD collection's interesting? Well, shit. My Blu-ray collection is even crazier. What do we have here? La Gerencia de la Llorona. So that one, Gerencia, I'm not sure what that means. Is that the heresy of Llorona? Is like a Mexican ghost legend kind of thing. La Llorona. Si su madre dueñas de la hacienda donde viven. Yeah, I can't translate in real time right now. I have another copy of this because I'm waiting to sell these and buy the Blu-rays of those two films. His name is Jason. That's a cool one. That's a documentary about the Friday films. Hills Run Red. Really cool, cruel horror film, we'll call it, in the vein of the Hills Have Eyes remakes. This one is pretty interesting and nice and short. I like a short horror film. Hidden. The Hidden 1 and 2. I own this DVD for Yeah, cool new slasher. I like that. Kind of like new metal. Yeah, it's got that new metal vibe. That's interesting. I've never heard that. Okay. It's kind of you feel the same way about that and the Hills Have Eyes remake that you do about the new metal genre. It has that same kind of grungy feel. The Hidden is one of my favorite films of all time. One of the most underrated science fiction horror films of all time. Action. It's incredible. The Hidden 2, I haven't seen. But I own it for The Hidden 2. Highway to Hell. We got Highway to Hell, directed by Ate De Jong. New slashers have a bit of French extremity to them. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, they were inspiring each other, it seems. Hiss with 3 S's. So, different than... Same with the Texas Chainsaw reboot. Yep, exactly. Even the Hitcher reboot has that vibe, right? Hitcher 2, yes, with C. Thomas Howell and Jake Busey. Nothing touches the Rutger Hauer original. The Hole. That's a cool one. And actually, this one's pretty cool, too. That's a Joe Dante flick here. Both the Holes are pretty good. I hear this movie's really gross. Look at that. Ugh, that's nasty. Holidays, not a very good anthology film. We have Legends. This is such a cool film from the archive collection. Kiddo! Kiddo! We've got, let's see. Where does it say the titles? Mask of Fu Manchu, Mark of the Vampire, Return of Dr. X, and Dr. X. The Devil Doll, that's a great one. Mad Love, that's another good one. I thought this had... No, okay. Not the one I was thinking of. Let's see. We've got Home Invasion. I actually own this because it has Scott Adkins. I'm not sure if he plays one of the bad guys, but I'm a Scott Adkins junkie. Hush from 2008 if you want another Hitcher-esque film. Okay. I think... Do I have that? No, I don't. Okay, I'll keep an eye out for that one. We've got the House on Haunted Hill double feature here. I like both of these films, especially the remake. I like it almost just as much as the original, and I love the original. I think both are really cool, really atmospheric, great effects, well-directed, different enough. I really like both. House Shark. This is one of the most ridiculous titles I have. House Shark. Like, I don't even know what to say. House Where Evil Dwells, a really weird East meets the West, Japanese, American co-production here. Kevin Connor, a family from America moves in, with Doug McClure, moves into this Japanese abode, and the abode is haunted, and with samurai ghosts and shit like that. It's crazy and pretty cool. House of Wolfman, I picked this up recently, and I was like, what is this? And I said, Ron Chaney? Who? Is that the brother of Lon Chaney Jr.? I have no freaking clue. A brief 75-minute movie. I have no idea what this is. Is this a new movie? Is this newer? Done in like an old school style? I think it might be. How to Make a Monster. This is from that line of Arkoff remakes. Creature features here. Cool little line of movies. Up here we have Enter Zombie King. I'm not sure. Yeah. Luchador horror. Lucha horror. We have Darlin. There you go. Reminded me of George A. Romero. I don't know anything about this. Varen the Unbelievable I picked up pretty recently from a pawn shop or a thrift shop. One of the few kaiju films I've yet to see. Especially Ishiro Honda. I've seen pretty much all of Ishiro Honda's kaiju stuff, including a lot of his other non-kaiju but sci-fi horror stuff. He's one of the greats. He's one of my favorite directors, one of the legends of Japanese cinema. Varen the Unbelievable. Gotta see this. Is this in Japanese? I hope so. Yes, it is. Thank goodness. Oh, wait. Yes, it is. Speaking of more Ishiro Honda kaiju films, here's another set here. Ishiro Honda did War of the Gargantuas, I'm pretty sure, and he definitely did Rodan. Rodan, super underrated. This movie came out not too long after the original Gojira, and 1956, so like 2 years later. And very cool, underrated, forgotten kaiju flick. I've seen both of these and love both of them. All right, let me check the comments here. 13 Ghosts. Lillard. Yeah, the remake of 13 Ghosts. It's awesome. I have that on Blu-ray. When do you think you'll do a martial arts video again? Oh, man, Perry fans, good to see you. Thank you for stopping in. Who knows? I'm just going to fly by the seat of my pants here, and I'm going to do videos as they kind of hit me. I have been watching nothing but Hong Kong cinema for the last month, so I think it's prime for me to talk about some of those. But I have leaned towards the more, how do you say, heroic bloodshed, John Woo-inspired, post-Shaw Brothers dominance flicks. So I have been centering on those because there's a lot I want to catch up on. But I watched Hero last night, Korean's Hero, and that was really good. I love Hong Kong cinema. And I love Japanese cinema. It's a really interesting version of Hunchback of Notre Dame here with Anthony Hopkins I've yet to see. Hunting Season is a really low budget, early 2000s, late 90s shitfest. It's pretty bad, but pretty entertaining. I, Madman, a film nobody talks about, kind of cool. Tibor Takacs, yeah, one of his earliest flicks. Rocky Bullwinkle, Rankin and Bass holiday specials. Oh, yeah. What do you think of the new Hong Kong Cinema Classics line coming from Shout? I actually haven't even looked into that. I try to steer clear from that stuff because I don't have expendable income like that to spend on movies. That's why pretty much 90% of the shit you see here is from thrift shops. I just stay patient. But I will say I do slowly sell off my 88 or my Hong Kong DVDs and buy, the Blu-ray counterparts like from 88 Films and stuff because they're pretty relatively cheap. Here's I believe the longest title of any horror film. The incredibly strange creatures who stopped living and became mixed up vampires. Not supposed to be very good, but definitely cool to have. In the Earth. Yeah, Ben Wheatley. I've been wanting to see this. That's going to go in my I'm going to check you out soon pile. All right, we've got coming down here. Sorry, guys, if it's a little dark, I can't really do much about that. All right, my poor design choices. Indigenous, I don't know what that is. Incubus, the only horror film, or only horror film that was in the Esperanto language, which I believe was created after World War II to try to unite the world or whatever. So a tongue that everybody could speak. The irony is nobody speaks it now. So there you go. They learned Esperanto for a horror movie. And put it into a horror movie. Inner Sanctum Mysteries is really cool. Lon Chaney Jr. presents these films and stars in a couple of them. And they're really good sort of suspense thrillers. Not very horror-ish, but some of them are more than others. The Innkeepers, Ty West. I like this Ty West as opposed to the new Ty West. It's just more my speed of horror films. Very atmospheric, very thick in atmosphere, great characters. Traditional horror elements, and I think it's very great. He has a lot of those things still in X, but I wasn't huge on X, I gotta be honest. We've got Intruders, Invaders from Mars. This is a great film. I've only seen the original, this one here, and I think it's very, very funny at points and very interesting. It was remade by Tobe Hooper. I still need to see the remake. Invitation to Hell. This is an early Wes Craven 70s TV movie starring Susan Lucci. I knew about Susan Lucci growing up because my mother was a soap opera fan, and Susan Lucci won all the awards and shit, so I like this movie, The Island of Dr. Moreau. People give it a hard time. It was completely studio butchered, and yeah, it's not a great film, but it's still entertaining. That's for sure. We've got It's Alive. We've got Itsy Bitsy. I think I've seen this one. This has a cool practical effect. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen Itsy Bitsy. Jack Goes Home. I don't know much about this. Culkin is hypnotized. Kieran Culkin. Jack and Jill, The Hills of Hell. What a title. Jack-o'-lantern. Jackals. I hear good things about jackals for modern slashers. Jekyll and Hyde. This is an interesting play on the title here. A female version of Jekyll and Hyde. It might belong in my Jekyll and Hyde area. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde area. Yeah, I guess the ones that don't have doctor I put over here. This is David Hasselhoff as Jekyll and Hyde in the musical. Jerusalem, very... A solid found footage film that takes place in Israel. It's pretty good. This one's cool. I picked this up recently. I think this is a German horror film from the 80s. It looks like it has some really creepy effects there. Look at that little guy. It looks like the little guys from Akira, but even creepier. Yeah, this one looks interesting, and I had to pick it up. Anchor Bay. They do no wrong. How many lower budget horror movies? Oh my god, thousands. I love the first Joyride. I haven't seen 2 and 3, but hey, I'll give them a shot at some point. Carla. This film is hard to find. That's why it's in the collection. I want to give it a shot. It's a female serial killer movie. We've got Boris Karloff collection, which I've yet to open. Into the Woods. What do we got? Jungle Girls. This is like a Jess Franco Jungle Girls exploitation thing. Jack Brooks' Monster Slayer. You want to see a fun movie along the lines of Dylan Dog and Tucker and Dale versus Evil, sort of that era of horror comedies where they were kind of not taking themselves very seriously. This is a really fun flick, so with Robert Englund, and great creature design. Ice Crawlers, John Carl Buechler film that is a Thing ripoff, and it was hard to watch. If I didn't have a good friend with me, I wouldn't have made it through. Kill by Inches, a very interesting and forgotten Hitchcockian psychological thriller about a young man who just kind of loses his mind, and I like those types of films. I can relate. Killer Eye, Halloween Haunt, Charles Band. Return of the Killer Tomatoes. I still don't have the original Killer Tomatoes, which I'd like to see. Killer's Delight, that's a obscure 70s one. Killjoy, the only franchise on the planet that gets better as it goes on. Like 4, 5, and 6 are pretty goddamn good movies. Or is it 5 and 6? Lechago, I think, is the guy. Yeah, 3 is good. 1 is okay. 2 is okay. 3 is good. 4 is awesome. 5 is awesome, if I'm remembering it correctly. What do we have here? Kilometer 31. Yeah, it's I believe Mexican or Spanish horror film. Yeah, it's always hard to tell. Sometimes I can tell by the names, but other times I can't. Actually, let me test myself here. I would wager it's a Mexican horror film. Komodo dragon horror flick. More like Easter bunny slasher. Cottontail. This one looks kind of insane, honestly. Let's see. Laid to Rest. These movies are really cool if you want to see like crunchy and Italian gore-inspired slasher flicks with a really interesting character. Laid to Rest. And I have the sequel, I believe, on Blu-ray. The Lake Placid movies, of which I referenced earlier. Another ghost house flick, so I'm going to put that up there. This is a great Lovecraft comedy. If you're a fan of Lovecraft, you got to check this one out. Good practical effects, funny characters, good effects overall, fun characters, and it's a very funny movie with great Lovecraftian elements. Larva, this seems like a Fly kind of remake, or a Fly-ish kind of film that I do want to see. New Image puts out some pretty decent stuff. Langoliers, I still have a nostalgic fear of this film, believe it or not. I know it's ridiculous now, but at the time when this aired in 1995, I was 7 or 8, and we gathered around the TV, me and my mom, my dad, my sister, in 95, my even younger sister, and we all watched The Langoliers, and we were scarred. It was terrifying. The uncanny nature of the effects at the time was something that's really hard to put into words for people now, because people look at the effects from The Langoliers and they just go, wow, that's shit. And I agree with you, it is, but at the time it had this ethereal or surreal kind of effect on us, and we were like, what the hell are they going for? It was just so bizarre. And the sound that The Langoliers make, the ending is super... I want to watch this again. That's my pile of things I want to watch. We've got a bunch of weird ones. Last Sign, Andy McDowell there. There's The Last Winter by Fessenden. This is a really interesting commentary on climate and that kind of thing. It's kind of like an eco-horror film, if I'm using that term correctly. Very atmospheric, very slow burn, but definitely brings the goods. And Fessenden knows how to build an atmosphere. That's one thing he knows how to do incredibly well. And in my opinion, atmosphere is one of the most important things for a horror film. You can have nothing else. And if your horror film has atmosphere, you're doing something right. The Legacy. Don't I have this on Blu-ray? I'm not sure. Not a great movie. Kind of a Rosemary's Baby type of thing. Leeches. Look at that sexy cast right there. They will bleed you dry. That always reminded me of like a Scream cover, right? Look at those leeches. David Dakota. There you go. Val Lewton Horror Collection. Underrated producer of the 50s. I Walked with a Zombie. Most known for The Body Snatcher, which is a Robert Wise film and one of the best Robert Wise films. Karloff and Lugosi. He's most known for Cat People. And he didn't direct. He produced, and Cat People is a good one, very atmospheric, very influential. Link, I love Link, despite how I feel about animals in movies. This one is super entertaining. You know, who knows, maybe chimps understand acting a little bit more since they're close to us in DNA. They're obviously smarter animals than most. Richard Franklin is a fun director. He makes a heck of a flick. And this is one of the best Nature Strikes Back, sort of don't fuck around with nature movies, which you have to appreciate. A little bit of zombie in my butt. There you go. A little bit of zombie. All right. We've got, next up, I'm moving the umbrella out of, umbrella, what the fuck? Jesus. Moving the ladder out of the way there. All right. Yeah. What do we got? The Littlest Vampire. You see that there? The little vampire with that little kid, Alex, what's his name? Jonathan Lipnicki. That's right. That's a childhood film from the 90s, late 90s, I want to say. Lizzie Borden with Christina Ricci. Living in the Dead. That's a BBC miniseries. The Lodger. Long Time Dead. The Lost. Lost After Dark. This one's actually pretty interesting. It's got an 80s style to it. It's very cool. Yeah, check that one out. Lost Skeleton of Cadavra. This is a modern. This came out in 2004, but it invokes the 50s and nails it on the head in terms of its effects, its storytelling, its acting. It's fantastic. I have the sequel right there. Yep, I actually put it next to it, despite it not being. Oh yeah, actually it does go right next to it, technically speaking. But yeah, that's the sequel. I've only seen the original. I actually didn't even know there was a sequel, but hey, surprise, surprise. Lost Souls. I like these sorts of Omen-inspired Rosemary's Baby type of suspense, horror, conspiracy thrillers from the early 2000s. Got all that? Love Rights, a cult epics release, a film by Valerian Borovchik, who I believe is a controversial director. He directed, The Beast, which a lot of people have told me sucks and is super pretentious. So I don't even know if I'm gonna like this filmmaker, but hey, it came out in the year I was born. It's an 80s flick. Might be erotic horror, I'm not exactly sure. Loved Ones, a pretty good Australian torture horror flick. As far as torture films go, it's a pretty good one. Lucifera Demon Lover, gotta love that. Look at that cover. Lucifera Demon Lover. Bela Lugosi's dead. Murders in the Rue Morgue, Black Cat, Raven, Invisible Ray, Black Friday. This one's cool because it has 4 of the films that, or is it even, yeah, 4 of the films that both Boris Karloff and Bela Lugosi were in together. And my favorite of this one is probably The Raven. I think The Raven is brilliant. I think The Black Cat is goddamn near good, near brilliant too. Mad Doctor of Blood Island. This is the first film from the director Eddie Romero, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Eddie Romero was a Filipino director, and he did this series of Mad Doctor Blood Island movies, and this is the first, I believe, and I've yet to see it, admittedly. Madhouse, Dark Sky puts out good flicks, so you could pretty much trust that label, kind of like Anchor Bay. Very good, independent, no-budget slasher flick here. The sequel is Bereavement, over there. Man from Planet X. That's a pretty fun one. Yeah, I remember this one. It's got some iconic special effects. Not a huge fan of Bruce Campbell's The Man with the Screaming Brain. He also directed this. and wrote the story and screenplay. Not his best work, but hey, it's cool to give him a movie and let him have free reign over it. It is what it is. I prefer the Bruce Is My Name movie. Or His Name is Bruce. What's it? Yeah. I thought I had that. Okay. Kra, the sea monster, which actually belongs down here. I have my kaiju movies, don't I? Pretty sure I do. Down there. Man's Best Friend, Lance Henriksen, 90s killer dog movie. Written and directed by John Lafia. Ali Sheedy. Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I hear good things. I enjoy these crappy sci-fi movies here. The Man-Eater collection. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 Man-Eater films. This one I'm tempted to sell because I'm sure it's not going to be one I open. It's worth quite a bit of money. What do you guys think? Have you seen this one? Is it worth watching? Do they put the animals through hell? Anchor Bay was a kid-friendly company. Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. Quite the opposite, right? Ooh, I might have to cut this short because I'm running out of battery. Oh, no. I'm going to lower the brightness here. All right, we're going to pick up the pace a bit. The Mangler, 1 through 3. I love these based on the Stephen King novel. This one is a crazy performance by Robert Englund, directed by Tobe Hooper. I'm sure the sequels are not as good, but I have to see them. I need Mania Cop 2. I have 1 and 3. I've only seen the first one. Great stuff. Mark of the Devil, Man Thing, Brett Leonard flick here. Brett Leonard was known for The Dark Pit. He did some pretty good flicks. But this is a good one. Actually based on a Marvel property, way before the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's another Man-Eaters film. Maniac, the remake with Elijah Wood, which is pretty interesting. I like the original a little better. Which I believe I have on Blu-ray. Martin, George A. Romero's Martin. This is a great vampire flick. Very unique. It makes you think. It's a philosophical vampire flick. Masters of Horror. All these here. I think I have all of them. I'm not positive, but these are awesome. Masters of Murder. It's a pretty cool set. It has like 4 different... Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, John Wayne Gacy, Ed Gein. All sort of biopics about those serial killers. Guys, feel free to leave the live stream a thumbs up if you're enjoying. May, Lucky McKee, his best film. This is one of my favorite films from the 2000s. I love this film, one of the coolest Frankenstein. This flips Frankenstein on its head and is so of its era. Angela Bettis, this is what made me fall in love with Angela Bettis. I think she's incredible. All 3 of these actors and actresses are fantastic. Anna Faris, Jeremy Sisto. Mexico Barbaro, which is an anthology film by Mexican filmmakers, which is pretty cool. Minus Man, I think, Luke Wilson plays like a serial killer in this. Owen Wilson, that's right, even weirder. Mirror, Mirror, a series of films, 4 films that nobody remembers. I've only seen the first one. Very atmospheric, very strange, almost feels like a soap opera at points. It's kind of odd. Monster in My Closet, a film that scared the shit out of me as a kid. Catching it on like HBO in the early 90s and stuff. I have a soft spot for this film. It's very strange. Monster High, Monster Hunter, Monster Man. This is the one we were talking about earlier. And this is a very entertaining little road horror movie from 2003. Mother of Tears. This is the 3rd film in the 3 Witches, or I forget what it's called. The Witches Trilogy by Dario Argento. It's pretty good. It's not great. It's not as good as Suspiria, obviously, or Inferno, for that matter. But it was made way after. I love Mothman Prophecies. I think it's a super underrated atmospheric thriller, psychological conspiracy thriller. Mr. Hell, there you go. Mr. Jangles, The Mummy. A somewhat entertaining Louis Gossett Jr. mummy movie based on Bram Stoker's Mummy, which was not called The Mummy. It was called like The Eye of Osiris or something like that. The Mummy Lives, another mummy film here with Tony Curtis. Munster's Revenge. It's like a film version. Maybe it's a few of the episodes cut together. I'm not sure. Let's see, Murder Party. This is a good flick by Jeremy Saulnier, the guy who would go on to do Green Room, one of the best films of the decade, last decade, and also he would do Blue Ruin, which is another one of the best films of that decade. Because I don't want to have nightmares with all of these. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I welcome the nightmares. To me, nightmares are just an extension of cinema. Or maybe cinema is an extension of nightmares. I think that's actually how it goes. We're able to conceptualize and visualize our nightmares. It's a wonderful thing. The Janitor, that's got a great sort of 80s style Animal House cover. Yeah, 2005 film, though. Mutant. This is a No. John Bud Cardos. Yeah. Mute Witness. You want to see a really interesting... some people have said, like, ableist, I guess, thriller, but they use that as a pejorative. This is about a woman, a mute woman, and it's a thriller. It's kind of like... what was the movie that came out a few years ago with Stephen Lang playing the blind dude? And they use that as sort of like the conceit. It's very, very similar to that, but this came out in the 90s. This had 94. This has a very giallo vibe to it, but it's an American film. So there you go. Sucky Teen Romance, no clue. I picked it up for very cheap at my bookstore that I worked at. Naina, this one's cool. This is actually I want to say, I'm going to get this wrong. I thought it was a Bollywood remake of The Ring. I'm pretty sure. Maybe not Bollywood. Maybe I've got the country wrong. I see some Indian-looking names, but I can't be sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a Bollywood remake of the Japanese classic, Ringu. The Nameless. This is a really cool, atmospheric Spanish horror film by Jaume Balaguero. I actually want to rewatch this soon. Yeah, it's very, very much in the line of Seven and sort of psychological and brutal, police procedural thrillers. I love this movie, and I don't know what this DVD is worth right now. I've been holding off opening it. It's code red. It's to hopefully fund a Blu-ray that comes out at some point. Actually, it's about time for me to check. This one I'm not going to throw because I don't want the disc to be dislodged. I want to look this up and see what it's going for because I really want the Blu-ray of that movie. Such a cool flick. It reminds me of the video store days. I used to see the cover all the time, but my mom wouldn't let me rent it. Nether Beast Incorporated. This one looks kind of interesting. Kind of a workplace satire. Netherworld. That movie blows peen. Nick Knight. This was the TV movie that they made before the Nick Knight series, or Forever Knight, I should say. This is a cool and atmospheric little flick that has the TV vibe. Night of 1,000 Cats. There you go. Renee Cordona. Night Creature, Night Flyer. Awesome Stephen King adaptation here. HBO flick. Very cool creature. Very suspenseful. Always reminded me of Kolchak, the Night Stalker. And I think Miguel Ferrer does a really good job invoking Kolchak in this movie. So check that out. We have a bunch of the Night of the movies, so like Night of the Living Dead 3D Reanimation. This is, what's his name? This is Tom Savini's remake, which is excellent. Night of the Living Dorks. There's, Dan Curtis's Night Stalker, Night Strangler. The Kolchak movies. I recommend the movies highly, but I also recommend the show highly. Each episode is 45 minutes, is an hour, and is basically a little movie. Nightbreed, and it covers everything you can imagine in horror. Everything from vampires, werewolves, like a Invasion of the Body Snatchers type things, fungus, weird stuff. Nightbreed, obviously, is a classic. David Cronenberg is actually in this movie. Clive Barker directed. God, I wish he still directed. Imagine if he directed throughout the 90s and 2000s. He made some great little flicks. God, if he directed his own stories, that would have been so cool. Which is what Nightbreed is and Hellraiser and all that. But Nightmare City, this is a pretty fun little obviously Italian zombie flick. Nude Vampire, Jean Roland. I've only seen Grapes of Death, which I love. Nympha, don't know much about this. This has been in the collection a long time. I want to say, I'm not sure if it's Nymphoid Barbarian in Dinosaur Hell. Look at that little guy. Brett Piper. Oh, there you go. Brett Piper did the effects on this one. Did he direct this? Oh, he did direct this. I didn't know that. So this is going to be entertaining. He makes good movies. You didn't have HBO as a kid? Yeah. Yep, Mike's my name. You got it, jolly good. Yes, I had, well, we had HBO, yes. I used to watch it over like my grandma's house. Yeah, I used to find ways to watch HBO. Let's just say it that way. Jurassic Island. Yeah, I'm not sure if I need that one in the collection, if I'm being honest. And I just realized Megalodon. Are these the same thing? No, they are not. Of course, 2 flicks called Megalodon. I'm sure they're great. The Objective. Now, Daniel Myrick did this, which I think is an interesting little Afghanistan war commentary. Not a great horror film, but an interesting one. War horror isn't something we see blended together, which is interesting because war is hell and war is horror. But Myrick was the co-director on Blair Witch, and I think he's the least talented of between him and Eduardo Sanchez. I think Eduardo Sanchez has made better movies. Officer Down, I've wanted to see this. Old Man, that's the guy who was... Don't Breathe, is that the name of the movie he was in? Don't Breathe, yeah. Open Grave, I've heard really good things about this Charlton Copley film. Argento's Opera, I recently had to upgrade this because I had a copy, like a water-damaged copy. I think I might still have it. I gotta trade it. Orca, the Killer Whale. Haven't seen that one. Organism. This one always looked interesting to me. What the hell's going on there? Yeah, Aughts Horror. Outpost. The Outpost movies. I believe I have the trilogy. One of them I have on Blu-ray. P2, A New Level of Terror. Yet to see this. I hear it's a good Christmas-themed, kind of thriller. The Pack, Pandemonium. I don't know, Panda Slasher. Who knows? Parasite. This is an early Demi Moore flick directed by Charles Band, I want to say. Yeah, and Stan Winston actually did the effects on it, 1990, so that's before T2. Richard Band, of course, does the music. This is an interesting, student film I found around here. Who knows if it was filmed around here or what? But it obviously stars literal kids, not adults playing kids. And I just think that is so interesting. And for $1, I found this at a thrift shop. A student film. This one looks really low budget, too. I love Pet Sematary 2. I think it's underrated. I think people don't quite get what this film was going for. I think it's pretty damn good. In fact, I think I like it better than the original. I know. I'm nuts. Now, this is Argento's Phantom of the Opera. So he has Opera, which is different than Phantom of the Opera. This is his version of Phantom of the Opera. It's pretty good. Here's some history. Hammer Horror. This is one of the earliest movies to be considered a Hammer horror film. It's more like a Agatha Christie-like mystery where people start dropping. The Mystery of Mary Celeste is also what it's known as. I prefer Phantom Ship. It's not as good as I was hoping it for it to be, but it is iconic because it's an early Hammer horror kind of spooky ghost story kind of thing. We've got 2 versions of The Picture of Dorian Gray here, based on Dorian Gray, the old novel about a man who retains his youth by kind of selling his soul to the devil in a way, but it's one of those kinds of stories, classic story. Pin. I love Pin. Pin is awesome. Pin is very Hitchcockian. It's very Psycho-esque. An incredible performance by this guy, David Hewlett, who would end up being in Cube and some of the movies with directed by Vincenzo Natali. This one came out in 1988, though, and is directed by Sander Stern. I don't know much about the director, but this is a really trippy and weird movie. It'll freak you out. Manos, the Hands of Fate. So Manos in Spanish means hands. So this title is literally Hands, the Hands of Fate, which is very funny. Ha ha ha. Pinocchio's Revenge. This one's directed by Kevin S. Tenney, who directed Night of the Demons, one of my favorite horror films of all time. And this is good fun. I watched this back in the day with my buddy Dom, and it's ridiculous. It's about a killer Pinocchio, So it is what it is. Poker Night. I picked that up at a Big Lots one time. Polaroid, I like these sort of Ring-inspired technological thrillers that use technology as the device for horror, as the conduit for horror. Addams Family movies from the 90s? Of course, I love those movies. So macabre, so funny. So ahead of their time. I love them. Bunch of possession movies. Possession of Nurse Sherry. There you go. I actually think, yeah, these are older movies. It almost tricked me into thinking they were new, but these are actually, I believe that's an 80s flick there. All right. Got 15% battery here. We got to start moving. We've got, The Possessor. That's the Italian, oh no, what have I done? Nobody wants to see my ugly face. The Possessor is kind of the Italian Exorcist ripoff that they did. Prison of the Dead. Private Parts. That's a good one. Prom Night 2. I've seen Prom Night 2. It's very good. Probably better than the first one, in my opinion. Prom Night 3 and 4, not many people know even exist. Proof of the Devil. Psychic Killer. That's a fun one. Crazy little movie. Psycho. This is a shot-for-shot remake by Gus Van Sant. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's an interesting experiment. It's good. It's a shot-for-shot remake. Cyclops. More Brett Piper goodness here. Again, any Brett Piper films are going to be fun. I actually have the Psycho films on Blu-ray, but I have this for Bates Motel, which the Blu-ray collection does not contain. Pulse 1 through 3. This is a fun little series if you disconnect it from the Kurosawa classic, which is known as Pulse in America or Kairo in Japan, which I have on Blu-ray now, which is one of my favorite films of all time, horror films of all time, easily. This one's interesting because it's written by the guy Craig Zoller, who did Bone Tomahawk and Dragged Across Concrete, 2 films I love. We got the Python 4 film collection here, Python 1 and 2, Boa, and then Boa vs. Python. This one's probably my favorite because I like Dean Cain in a bad movie. Pix, that's a weird 70s one. Quarantine 2. We got Clive Barker. And who was it? Mick Garris directed Stephen King and Clive Barker. 2 different stories from them. Ra'at. This is a Bollywood horror film, probably one of the most famous. I thought it was okay. It kind of is like The Exorcist. It's kind of like one of those types of films. I thought it was all right. Rabid, that's a remake of the Cronenberg film. Rare Exports, a fun, crazy Christmas horror film. We got to move a little faster. I'm sorry, guys. Raw Meat, that's a good atmospheric 70s flick. Red Eye, underrated little Wes Craven thriller here. Very cool. Redneck Zombies, Reflecting Skin. Again, if you guys want to see a really unique zombie flick, that's one for you. Relative Fear. Super obscure stuff in this collection, right, guys? Return to Sleepaway Camp. Return of the Vampire. I actually really enjoy this movie. These I picked up recently. These unknown slashers, which I hear really good things about. Ripper. This came out in the early 2000s, or I should say, yeah, like 2000 and early 2000s, we'll say. Robert, this is the triple feature and the 4th film, actually. It's crazy that has 4 films in the series. Rose Red, Stephen King miniseries, one of the last great ones. RSVP, this is kind of looks like a Scream-style slasher with Jason Mewes. So, happy to pick. I had it on VHS for the longest time. Glad to have it on DVD. Rubber, really strange film. I like about half of this movie and despise the other half. Rumpelstiltskin, really fun movie. I think it's directed by the guy who did Leprechaun, if I'm not mistaken. And has a very Leprechaun-esque character in Rumpelstiltskin. So, smash that like button, people. Subscribe, support this awesome channel. Thank you, Stoner Paranormal Investigations. I appreciate that. Yes, do what he says. Rumpelstiltskin, if you want to see a really underrated, funny performance by the killer in this movie, the monster, he cracks jokes all the time. It's almost funnier in ways when compared to Warwick Davis. Sabretooth, we've got Samson and the Wax Museum. Satan's Sadists. All right, we got to get moving here. What do we got? 13. Spiders, Sideshow, that's a bad one. Full Moon. These are awesome sets, these early Universal Classics films, the non-monster flicks. Dr. Cyclops, Cult of the Cobra, lots of cool stuff. Sint or Saint, this is the German Dick Moss Christmas horror film. Satan's Blood. Satan's Little Helper, Jeff Lieberman, really creepy flick. Very satirical. Saturday the 14th. Before Scary Movie, we had Saturday the 14th, which ripped into all the horror movies of the time. Scarecrow, I've seen both of these flicks, actually last October. Fun, not bad. They're okay. Scary Movie 4, I just picked this up on DVD, believe it or not. Screenplay, you want to see one of the best Troma outputs here? Kaufman only produced this, but man, Rufus Butler Cedar stars in, writes, and directs this really cool homage to black and white horror. Check this movie out. It's very unique. You'll never see anything like it. Great story. Really invokes the time perfectly. This is a Uwe Boll film that isn't complete garbage. It's kind of in the cruel horror genre, you know, torture-y kind of thing, serial killer, but it's actually rather atmospheric for a Uwe Boll film. Sometimes it seems like he cares a little. That one's cool. Look at this. Before The Ring, there was The Seekers. Like, I have some of the most obscure stuff you'll ever see. Serpent in the Rainbow. There you go. Okay, so I own that other collection for... This is Les Sept Jours du Talion. And I guess a French horror film. I don't know much about it. Severance, that's a good one. Another office satire kind of thing. This one, not so good. I bought it for Tony Todd, but it's okay. Zombie movie in a prison. Shadow Zone, not very good. One of the not so good full moon flicks there. Shadow the Vampire, awesome. Not quite horror, but I still want to see The Shaft. The Shaft. Dick Moss directed a remake, basically, an American remake of his own haunted elevator film. We've got The Shining TV miniseries. This is actually really good and gets a little bit more detail and depth when compared to the novel, but it's still not superior to Kubrick's vision. Shredder, a little fun slasher flick from the early 2000s. If you like that kind of thing, you'll enjoy Shredder. It's cool. You see the twist coming a mile away, but it's like skiers versus, snowboarders. Shriek, if you know what I did last Friday the 13th. This is a movie that I loved back in the day because I was like, oh, it's like Scary Movie. It's not as good as Scary Movie, but it does have some really ridiculous moments. And it was one of the early sort of parody films that came out at that time where, my God, then there was hundreds of disaster movie, epic movie, all that shit. More Full Moon. I have more Full Moon films than I could throw a stick at. This I own because it's, what's his name? Paul W. Sanderson doing a TV horror film, actually, believe it or not. And so this completed my Paul W. Sanderson film. I think I own all of his films now. Ow, I just banged my knee. Silent Night, Deadly Night, Sins of Dracula. We've got Skin Deep here. Really crazy effects, as you could see in this movie. That's what this movie's for. Gabe Bartalos, who was a famous effects guy in the 80s and 90s, and directed his own flick. Not bad, not bad. Really cool effects. Sleep Tight, Sleepy Hollow High. This is another Scream-inspired slasher, it looks like. This has to be hard to find. I mean, never even heard of it before. Slumber Party Massacre. I have the first one on Blue, I think. I think. Maybe I don't. That's the trilogy, though. Solstice. This is another Daniel Myrick film. This one's not as bad as The Objective, but I kind of like it. Something Wicked This Way Comes, based on one of my favorite authors, Ray Bradbury's work. These are, sometimes they come back for more. There's actually a third one in this trilogy based on the Stephen King short stories. Soul Survivors. Ugh, okay. Gotta check my battery. 11. Oh my God. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. Oh, hi, baby. Yeah, I know. Daddy will be home soon. Species 2 and 3. Let's see. Spontaneous Combustion, a crazy Toby Hooper film. Which Toby Hooper films aren't crazy? They're all crazy in great ways. St. Francisville Experiment. The cool thing about this was the director or the writer or something reached out to me, and I reviewed it in another video, and he was like, thanks for the kind review. This is a really fun Blair Witch-inspired found footage film that relies on its atmosphere and its low budget to bring you the creeps, the atmospheric, creepy creepy moments. Stakeland, a very serious Walking Dead-esque vampire film. I have a weird, like, Korean version, I think, of of The Stepfather, which is a great film, such a great psychological thriller, really messes with you, and is pretty deep philosophically. The Stepford Wives is a great, creepy 70s film that takes place in my home state, so I can relate to it. It takes place upstate New York. I'm from southwestern New York, or southern, I'm sorry. It takes place in upstate Connecticut. I'm from South Connecticut, which is a very different kind of culture, we'll say. But I understood what this movie was saying. It is absolutely creepy and ahead of its time. I don't know if it has a Blu-ray. Stigmata. I always think of Night of the Demons and Bauhaus when I think of this film. But a really cool early 2000s religious horror thriller. Strange Behavior. I found a really fun song called Lightning Strikes, where this guy's like pop song from the 60s or whatever that he sings in falsetto. Lightning striking. It's horrible, but it's so funny. Strangeland by, what's his name? Dee Snider. That's right. He directed this, I hear, really messed up horror film. Really, really raunchy and crude horror film. So, Stung. This is a cool one. Yeah, this is a fun little movie. About a kid who gets in way over his head with these crazy killer bees that mutate, and yeah, it's wild. Subject to a really interesting Frankenstein-like story. Super deep. I believe there's a Russian horror film I've been wanting to check out. Sweeney Todd, musical here. Sinjanor, an awesome little early 90s monster flick, sort of in the 80s vein, but it came out in 90, I believe. Tales from the Hood, I've seen the first two. This one is directed by the same guys who did the original. So I'm going to tune in to see what they have to say about modern culture, because their original Tales from the Hood is absolutely fantastic and holds up so well. The Forgotten Tales from the Crypt movie, everybody remembers Bordello of Blood and Demon Knight, but nobody remembers Ritual. Is Connecticut a little bit similar to NYC? Well, I would make the argument that where I grew up in Stamford, southern Connecticut, and Fairfield County is part of what's called the metropolitan area. That is true. You could look that up. Stamford, Connecticut, if you Wikipedia, it'll say it's part of the metro area, which involves New Jersey and New York and parts of Connecticut. I grew up in those parts of Connecticut that are considered the metro New York area. So yes, we share similar cultures. I get along with people from New York because they are of a similar culture than I am. I have an accent. People where I grew up have an accent that's closer to New York than it is Connecticut. And so people make fun of me for chocolate, for coffee, for yesterday, for like just little, things that I have that I don't think about, but just the way that I pronounce words. So yeah, we like to think we're a little New York, but that's wishful thinking. Most people who worked in Connecticut actually commuted to, who lived in Connecticut commuted to work in the city. So there you go. I saw the smoke getting out of school from 9/11. That's how close I was to New York City. I saw the smoke. It was terrifying as a 13-year-old from the Twin Tower attack. Targets. This is one of the later Boris Karloff horror-esque kind of films by Peter Bogdanovich, a serious director who directed this late 60s horror film, horror action crime film. I've yet to see it. Teenage Caveman, more of those Arkoff creature feature remakes here. This one's cool looking. Oh, Long Island. Yeah, I grew up in Stamford, which is right on Long Island Sound. And basically, when I was on the beach in Connecticut, like Stamford, you could see Long Island with your eyes. So we were neighbors in a really weird way. And we both shared the Long Island Sound water, which is disgusting. So this is like a Lost Cadavera, Skeletons of Cadavera kind of 50s style, black and white, modern film, which I didn't know about. That's kind of cool. We've got 9% in battery here. Tasis, you want to see a really cool psychological thriller that kind of reminds me of a giallo, but is a Spanish film, Alejandro Amenabar, who went on to be a big Hollywood director, or big director, I should say. Terra Firma. This is where James Gunn got his start. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think big cities are doing too hot. anytime soon. I think New York City had its heyday. Not to get controversial. Oh, you're saying? Oh, I see. NYC in 2001. Yeah, it would have been a nightmare. And yeah, it seems that the city, maybe not some of the boroughs, but it seems Manhattan is. I don't know. I see a lot of bad stories coming out of there. But in high school, we used to go to the city all the time, a couple times a week. We would go into the city because it was like a 30-minute train ride, and we would skip school and go into the city. We'd work, moving rugs into a building for some guy paying us $20. It was fun, man. We had a good time buying clothes. So stupid. Texas Chainsaw, Thanksgiving. I hate these movies. Why do I have in my collection? I'm a glutton for punishment. Them. This started the sort of. This is a French film, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the French Extreme, or had a hand in. It was a French Extreme movie, but it started that sort of random acts of violence movies that films like The Strangers would continue. Thirst, couple movies called Thirst. That's an Australian horror film there. Ticks, I finally have this on DVD. My buddy Steve donated it to me. I'd love it on Blu-ray, but I'm happy with the DVD. Great special effects, great performances across the board. Clint Howard, it's got Winston from Fresh Prince. I think that's who I'm referring to. Tommy Knockers, another film that scared the hell out of me as a kid. Tower of Blood, Tower of Terror, fun little Disney flick there, Disney horror. We've got I can't see these. Oh, we got Storm of the Century. Awesome little movie. Little TV miniseries there. Triloquist, that one's also directed by the director of Leprechaun. This one's directed by the director of Leprechaun. It's pretty good. Check it out. Turistas, I like this one. I actually like it more than Hostel. Twilight Zone, the movie. Awesome little movie. Some great segments, remakes of old segments. This one has some cool flicks, most of which I've seen. The Hand, which was a big inspiration to me for my short film Handy, which is also on the channel. Check out my restored version of Handy, the short film. It's about 5 minutes long. It's a little horror flick, my homage to hand horror films. Deadly Friend, Wes Craven. Someone's watching me. That's actually John Carpenter. And so is Eyes of a Stranger. I believe he wrote that one. I could be wrong. Dr. Giggles. Great performance by Larry Frank. Frank Larry. I always get that mixed up. Larry Frank. Okay. Oh my god. Twitch horror. Let's see. Uncle Was a Vampire with Christopher Lee. Look at that release. What do you think of that? Undertow. A super low budget little flick I found at a pawn shop one day. I love stuff like this. Finding stuff like this. So obscure. Unhinged, a movie I'm not a huge fan of, but a lot of people are. I just thought it was a little too boring to be so bad it's good. Black Cat, Man-Made Monster, some really cool Universal flicks there. Unnameable, I don't know where the hell my Unnameable one is. I thought I had that. Our Urban Legends trilogy, all fun films. The third one's pretty rough, I will admit. Even though Mike Flanagan actually, or Michael Dougherty, the guy who would go on to do King of the Monsters in America and Trick or Treat, actually wrote this. Mary Lambert, the woman who did Pet Sematary 2. This one's actually not bad now that I'm remembering some of it. Urban Massacre, more hip-hop horror. Urban Menace, more Snoop Dogg hip-hop horror. Valentine, I love this. Not only does it have my namesake, my last name is Valentine, so I've always loved it, but I even liked it back in the day. I always thought it was a polished, holiday-themed slasher with a cool twist and great look for the killer, the baby face mask there. We've got Vampire in Brooklyn, a Wes Craven film I don't hate as much as everybody else. I thought it was like a blaxploitation film of the 90s, which I think we needed more of. Even though it was directed by Wes Craven, you get my point. I think he probably felt that way too. Vampirella, that's a cool little flick there to find. I think it's worth quite a bit. I've got 7% in battery. Vampire Kiss, awesome Nick Cage performance. This is the movie where Nick Cage becomes Nick motherfucking Cage. This is more black-centric horror, actually, from Full Moon, directed by James Black. who is a black filmmaker, actually. He did a few movies for them, if I'm not mistaken. Wax, yeah, there's another Full Moon one. Let's see, we've got Virus. I love Virus. This is an alien style, aliens on a boat with like biomechanical monsters and a pretty hot smoking Jamie Lee Curtis and a crazy performance by over the top performance by Donald Sutherland. Super underrated flick. I think it's very good. Venomous. Yeah, you know. No, your last name is Valentine. I know Skeeter Valentine. Yeah, there's a lot of Valentines. There's Valentine is the name of the character from Kingsman, Sam Jack's character, as well as Eddie Murphy in Trading Places. So there you go. I have good company. And Eddie Murphy and I share a birthday, apparently. Somebody told me. The Village, Shyamalan, great, one of the last great Shyamalan films there. I like that one quite a bit. Village of the Damned, Children of the Damned. Creepy movie. I like the John Carpenter remake, too. Virgin Terror. Whaler trilogy. Weird Mexican horror films here. Yeah, strange. Hello, kitty. Kitty's rubbing his face on the camera. Oh, you're so cute. John Carpenter's The Ward. I think this is still his last film, right? Good film, just doesn't feel like a John Carpenter film. Warlock Moon, super underrated 70s flick, thick in atmosphere, great, weird, includes all the things I love about 70s horror. Surreal. Watchers, great. Both of these are fun movies. 2 is more of an action flick. It's like the aliens to the to the first film. We Summon the Darkness. Still want to see that modern one there. Waxworks is a classic. What's this? 20s? 24 silent film. Wendigo. There you go. There's Wendigo. When Good Ghouls Go Bad. That's starring Christopher Lloyd. That was a fun movie back in the 90s. I think it was late 90s. Willard, a film I saw in theaters, which I didn't know was a remake at the time, but I thought the remake was damn good. Starring Crispin Glover. He's fantastic all the time, pretty much. Wicker Tree, actually a remake, or I'm sorry, a sequel. Thank you. He is a cute little kitty. Robin Hardy, the guy who actually wrote the original film, directs this sequel to The Wicker Man, which, you know, I've heard The Wicker Tree is not that poppin'. Guys, I got to do this fast, and I'm going to get out of here quick because I have 5% battery. Witchcraft, Witch House, trilogy, actually. Wizard of Gore, more Crispin Glover. It's worth seeing for Crispin Glover. It's a decent remake of the old Herschel Gordon Lewis flick. The Woods, more good Lucky McKee stuff. Anything by Lucky McKee back in the aughts was pretty solid. Zarkor, yeah, I wanted to put Kra next to Zarkor because they're the same kind of thing. Full Moon kaiju movies, essentially. And they're fun. They are what they are. Extro 2, I love the Extro movies. I haven't seen 3, but I've seen the first 2. This is an Aliens ripoff that is great, and the first one is just one of the most bonkers films you'll ever see. It's fantastic. And so we have Zombie Chronicles, and here you go. This one, Doghouse, Pontypool, I Sell the Dead, some really good flicks there. Where's my zombie? Oh, yeah. Do I have a... Yeah, there it is. Okay. Zombie Planet Trilogy. No clue what that is. Sorry, guys. I can't really look at the comments right now. I'm trying to rip through this. So I have these by country. This is Italia. This is Italy. Autopsy, Big Alligator River, Cannibal Apocalypse, Card Player, that's Argento. Demons 3, The Ogre, this is Lamberto Bava. Eerie Midnight Horror Show, Reincarnation of Isabel. We have Shock. I believe this was Bava's last directed film. Really creepy, really good atmosphere, very weird, hallucinatory. Tormentor, and the Zombie Pack. This has Zombie 3, 4, and 5, which I'm not even going to get into it right now on how that series works. Zombie 1 in Italy was Dawn of the Dead. Zombie 2 is the zombie that we know as Zombie by Lucio Fulci. And then in Italy and in America, Zombie 3, 4, and 5. They're all ridiculous. This is my found footage section. Actually, we have a couple. We have Red Room 2 and Gurozuka, some of my latest additions to the Japanese horror collection. And yeah, so let's go through these real quick, see if there's anything. Banshee Chapter, really interesting and creepy. I love this movie. I love this Barry Levinson film. I thought he really stepped into the found footage ring and knocked it out of the park. Creep, you know, everybody knows Creep. Great little movie there. Dead Set. Really interesting Big Brother-style zombie flick. I believe UK. The Gallows, not many people know has a sequel. Half Cast, one of the more obscure ones. Hangar 10, creepy, surreal atmosphere, uses its budget well and its environment well. Incident at Loch Ness, not huge on this one, even though it stars Werner Herzog. The Jungle, I actually like this one. This one's not bad. It was a good time. I was sick when I watched that. It was memorable. Mr. Jones, an okay. A lot of people love this one. I think it's an okay Blair Witch style film. Westex Horror, I recognize you. What's up, buddy? Thanks for stopping in. You won one of the contests back in the day, didn't you? Troll Hunter, one of the best found footage films of all time. Incredibly cool film from the Netherlands, I believe. Nope, Norway. Yeah, Norway. Unidentified. There's some good stuff here. Zombie Diaries. That's not so good. Then we have some Japanese stuff, which is where a lot of the kaiju is. So, oh, I had the kaiju right in the beginning. I see. Okay. So, Frankenstein Conquers the World, King Kong Lives. Finally got a copy of this. The sequel to the 70s King Kong film. Good night, Mike. See you tomorrow. I'm watching the whole stream. Sounds good. Jolly good show. Thanks for sticking in for so long. Means a lot to me. Thank you. Have a good night. There'll be more to come. There's Reptilian, the Yongari remake that was done in the style of the 98 Godzilla. This movie is so bad, it is amazing. South Korean kaiju. Don't think there's a South Korean version, though. Then we have one of my favorite subgenres in horror, Japanese. You need more kaiju films? Yeah, well, I think I'm going to do a video on kaiju stuff soon, because I have so many of it at this point. I love Japanese horror. If you want to see a funny kaiju kind of parody, look at this. I don't even know if I could show some of this. Look at it. This is an insane movie by a great director. The Booth. Yeah, some cool stuff here. I love Dark Water. It's great. Demon Blue. Ridiculous 90s monster flick. Eko Azarak. All of these films are great. This is a trilogy. 2 is my favorite. It takes place in a school, and I think the first 2 do. And it's wacky. Great special effects. It's fun as hell. 4% battery. Oh, my God. All right, let's see. What do we got? Gozu, Kashimike. We've got The Grudge. We've got probably some more. Yep, The Grudge movies. Haunted Highway, Haunted Lantern, Infection. All these movies I really love. I've seen most of these. Japanese Hell I haven't, because that's a remake of Jikoku, which I still need to see. Ju-On. This is the Japanese version, not the first one. These are the American ones. I think the second American one was, and the third one. One of them was actually made by the director of the Japanese film. I don't have the curse or, I don't have the first 2 Ju-On films. I'd love them, though. They're hard to find. Reincarnation, The Ring 2, which is directed by Hideo Nakata, who directed Ringu. And Kunoichi, we have Kibaikichi, crazy werewolf horror film. Machine Girl, Marebito. This is a great Lovecraftian Japanese horror film starring Shinya Tsukamoto, directed by Takashi Shimizu, who is known for... Takashi Shimizu is known for Ju-On. He did all the Ju-On films, pretty much. Matango, underrated, like, mushroom people, Ishiro Honda film. Very atmospheric, great special effects, a slow burn, but well worth it. Marebito is so good. Yeah, Marebito is amazing. I have 3 things of battery. One Cut of the Dead, awesome. Mika Droid, a great horror flick. God, I want to talk about these. The Mysterians, Ishiro Honda, Kodakawa. The Japanese did countless horror anthologies in the late 80s and 90s. Look into that. It's amazing. Some of these Scary True Stories are just that. Tomie, this is like a 5 or 6 film series. I only have 2. They're very good, though. Uzumaki, this is very Lovecraftian, based on the work of Junji Ito, who is basically the modern Japanese equivalent of Lovecraft. He really digs into the same cosmic horror, makes you feel very small. One of my latest additions to my Japanese horror, I played the game and I had to own the film, so I sold a bunch of stuff to fund this. I love the film. Super atmospheric. Uzumaki! We have, let's see, When Horror Came to Shochiku, This is very cool set of early, like late 60s, early 70s Shochiku horror films. They were trying to get in on the kaiju horror stuff coming out of Toho, and they made some cool films in their own right, including X from Outer Space, which is about a giant chicken. It's a fucking kaiju movie about a giant chicken. Killer Bugs, Living Skeleton, Gokei the Body Snatcher from Hell. Really weird flick, but awesome. Wild Zero. Crazy, fun zombie flick with great music by a great Japanese punk band. Rubber's Lover, very strange cyberpunk cinema. I have talked about this in my Japanese cyberpunk cinema video. Shozin Fukui directed this. Not my favorite of his work, but a brilliant film nonetheless. We have Chinese horror, Hong Kong horror. We're going to Ichu. This is Chui Hark. We have Biozombie. I love Biozombie. That's a great flick. Corpse Mania, Shaw Brothers horror. You can't go wrong with. Directed by Kwei Chi-hung, who did a lot of Shaw Brothers stuff. Diary, The Eye. These are Pang Brothers. This is, I believe, South Korean horror, of which I need to dig into more. I've seen Memento Mori, which is a very famous South Korean horror film, which really got the ball rolling for South Korean horror. Gonjam, A Haunted Asylum is excellent. Very scary found footage films that will still get under your skin no matter how many found footage films you've seen. The Witch, we have a bunch of the Tartan stuff here. Heirloom, and actually over here is Thai horror, I believe. Yes, this is Thai. Yeah, Thailand horror. So there you go. And to be honest, I haven't seen enough Thai horror to really talk about them. And then last but not least, we have this set here, Terror Pack, The Baby, House of the Seven Corpses, Crucible of Terror, Psychomania I've seen, and that's great, and then Horror Express, which is also awesome. Holy crap. Okay. That's going to do it, guys. Let me see how much battery I have. 3%. All right. Guys, I have just talked for 3 hours straight. I am exhausted. It's my day. I had a short work day today, so I want to sit down and watch some movies, catch up on some reading, all that kind of fun stuff, and maybe even play a game. So we shall see. Guys, I just want to thank you all so much for checking out this insanely long live stream. But hey, I covered every single one of my horror films on DVD. So for those of you that came in late, this will be archived. Feel free to check it out that way. And thank you all so much for checking out this video or this live stream. I really, really appreciate it. My hair is wild right now. I really appreciate it. So thank you. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Feel free to donate via the super chat, which always helps the channel grow, which is what I'm trying to do with the channel. And share it with your friends. Show the video off to your friends. Whatever you want to do, that would help me greatly. So thank you all so much for tuning in. It means a lot to me. We're going to have another one tomorrow night where we're going to cover the rest of my video game collection. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys. Until next time, Bored Cyborg is out.